around through the evening, but they tend to fade away. So for most, it's a dry night, and with long clear spells and with light winds, it is going to turn cold with an extensive frost for Sunday morning. So a chilly start again to Sunday. Apart from one or two very isolated showers, many places dry and bright on Sunday. It will cloud over in Northern Ireland with some rain in the afternoon here and eventually into northwest Scotland. But as I say, for many, Sunday is a dry and a bright day. It's still on the chilly side for the time of year with highs of 9 or 10, but it does turn milder by Monday.
Europe is in the grip of the most devastating humanitarian crisis since World War II.
The people of Ukraine are facing unimaginable suffering
as their homes are destroyed and their loved ones are killed.
Millions of people are being forced to flee for their lives, carrying only their children, their pets, and the clothes on their back.
The pain, loss and destruction grows by the day.
The people of Ukraine urgently need our help.
Already a vast humanitarian operation is underway. Britain's Disasters Emergency Committee, or DEC, brings together 15 leading aid charities to respond to overseas disasters quickly and efficiently. These charities include the British Red Cross, CARE, Oxfam, Save the Children and World Vision.
Their teams are working on the ground in Ukraine and neighbouring countries to bring vital aid to those who need it most. If you can spare it, your gift to the DEC's humanitarian appeal will go a really long way.
£10 provides essential hygiene supplies for a person for a month.
£50 provides blankets for 4 families.
£100 provides emergency food for 2 families per month.
It's easy to give. You can donate online at dec.org.uk or call the 24-hour donation line on 0370 60 60 900. If you prefer to send a cheque, please post it to the Ukraine Humanitarian Appeal, PO Box 999, London, EC 3A 3AA. To give £10 on your mobile, simply text the word crisis to 70150. Standard network charges apply for calls and you must be 16 or over. Texts are charged at the standard network rate and your £10 donation will be added to your bill.
100% of your donation goes directly to the DEC to save lives and deliver critical support where it's needed.
Well, grab your nuts, pour the drinks, you're in for 2 hours of great guests and even better stories. This is Friday Night Feast. Good evening, everybody. Stand by for a very busy 2 hours as I give my views on those Just Stop Oil protests on the day that the energy price cap shot up and the cost of living crisis got very real for millions of families. And stand by for another brilliant edition of Challenge Christys. Can you guess what it is I've been up to this week? This is exactly why people need to tell me what it is that I'm doing before I come to it. My top's got West Indies on it, right? I'm the furthest I've ever been from the Caribbean. I'm in the Arctic. Yes, and of course we'll try to rehome a dog in our popular feature Dog of the Week. Could you be lucky enough to give the gorgeous Willow a forever home? Look at Willow. One day I'm going to end up taking one of these home. Anyway, I'll also tell you why I've been interviewing a pigeon today. It's highbrow stuff, this. And we'll meet the man who's walking the length of the UK in his bare feet. There's lots on the way, of course there is. But first, here's your latest headlines.
Good evening, I'm Miranda Shunker in the GB newsroom. The cost of living crisis has worsened for many households in Britain today, with the energy price cap rise taking effect. On average, gas and electricity bills will cost an extra £700 a year. And this comes ahead of the increase to national insurance later this month. Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer says the government needs to do more.
The government response has been utterly pathetic. No real response to that, no comfort to people who are so worried. What we, the Labour Party, have said is, look, the oil and gas companies in the North Sea have made excess profits over and above what they expected because of the high level of pricing across the world. That windfall tax should be used to take up to £600 off people's bills, and that is a practical solution to a very, very real problem.
Criminal and civil investigations have been launched into P&O Ferries surrounding the recent redundancies. The government's announced the probe is being carried out by the UK's Insolvency Service. P&O Ferries boss Peter Hebblethwaite admitted breaking the law when the company sacked 800 seafarers last month, replacing them with agency workers on cheaper salaries. A Red Cross convoy travelling to the besieged city of Mariupol in the south of Ukraine has been forced to turn around. The teams were en route to evacuate thousands of civilians who've been trapped by Russian forces with little food, water, medicines or power. Moscow had agreed to open a humanitarian corridor today, but Ukrainian officials say they're breaking their promise and that it's very dangerous for anyone trying to enter or leave. 19 environmental protesters have been arrested after blockading several oil terminals across England. The group, called Just Stop Oil, says they want the government to stop funding new oil licences. Several facilities were forced to suspend operations because of the obstructions. And free COVID testing in England has come to an end today as a record number of people in the UK have COVID. The Office for National Statistics say an estimated 4.9 million people had the virus at the end of last week, up from 4.3 million the week before. And the Great British Face-Off, potentially, as England could play against Wales or Scotland in the FIFA World Cup finals later this year. The Three Lions will face one of the home nations or Ukraine in the group stages in Qatar, with that playoff path due to be settled in June following Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Well, England's first matches will be against Iran and the USA in November. Well, on TV, online and DAB Plus radio. This is GB News. Now it's back to Patrick and the Friday Night Feast.
Good evening, everybody. Let's get stuck straight in. I'm going to need your help at one point during this as well, so get ready to get in touch. gbviews@gbnews.uk. Right. What on earth are the police and our politicians playing at? Why are there still a load of these Just Stop Oil and Extinction Rebellion menaces at no less than 10 locations? The police have had all day to get this lot nicked. They've managed to grind sites to a halt near Heathrow Airport, Southampton, Essex, Hemel Hempstead, Warwickshire, Tamworth. There have been apparently just 19 arrests. Why are the human rights of these warped public annoyances worth more than the right of a frail elderly lady to heat her house? They've said they're going to be there until the government just stops oil. Well, it won't, will it? So they've said they're going to be there for a long time. Get them lifted. ExxonMobil has been forced to halt operations at 3 sites. Today is the bleakest day for our personal finances since 1973. It's the bleakest day in my entire lifetime. And in no small part, these eco-nutters are to blame. Somehow they managed to get our politicians to bow down to their demands and introduce huge costs to our daily lives to pursue a net zero, big green agenda that won't work, isn't being bought into by some of the world's largest polluters, and we haven't got the technology to fulfil. So we're off to a great start, aren't we? I've said it before, I'll say it again. This lot are, in my view, domestic terrorists. The definition of terrorism from our Crown Prosecution Service includes creating a serious risk to the health or safety of the public or a section of the public. Well, they are, aren't they? They're contributing to people potentially freezing to death in their own homes. And I'm sorry, but they're not all there in their head, some of this lot. Have a look at this.
I can hear you're getting emotional.
Sorry.
How are you actually feeling today? What are the emotions that are going through your mind?
I am so frightened, and I don't know how we're not all... It's like, don't look up. I don't know how we're not all panicking. Our children might not get to live to 30. If there's climate breakdown, our children might not live to 30 because there won't be a habitable planet anymore, and people don't understand. We have to stop oil, or we're going to endanger the future of humankind. So David King, who was the chief scientific advisor to the government, said we need to stop oil now.
Bah! That's not normal, is it? It's not normal. The abject hysteria. She's bought into a death cult, you know. Goodness only knows what she'll be telling her child. Hey, you'll be dead before you're 30. The candles on every birthday cake aren't blown out, are they? They're just extinguished by the floods of her child's tears as they realise they're edging closer to the big 3-0 and their inevitable death. If you're sat at home now wearing several layers in your own front room, wondering how you're going to deal with your household bills going up 54%, I'm sure you'll be comforted to know that your MP is absolutely fine. They've had a £2,200 pay rise. That'll take the edge off the cost of living crisis, won't it? I've got an idea for you, OK? Hear me out. Now, I'm not encouraging you to break the law, OK? You know. Have you thought about just not paying it? Check out what this economic expert told me earlier today. Is there not another option? Potentially people just won't pay en masse.
OK. And do you know what? That is perfectly sensible, because I can remember to around about, what was it, the year 2000 or so, when you had the fuel strike. People were not paying for at that time, I think it had gone up to £1.30 a litre. And of course, Gordon Brown's government radically altered its taxation on fuel.
Sounds good to me, mate. Anyway, there we go. If you're at home all wrapped up in your jumpers because you're scared of putting the heating on, I want you, and this is where I need you to get involved, right? I want you to send me pictures of you and your family right across the country tonight, OK? People will be putting their coats on in their living rooms instead of putting the heating on, OK? Show me, and indeed our politicians, what the reality of bankrupt Britain really is. GBView. Now, what I'd like to know is what motivates these protesters? What goes through their heads, if indeed anything? Some of them, I imagine, if you x-rayed them, there'd just be a hamster in a wheel just running the show. But anyway, to discuss this, I'm joined now by the psychologist, eminent psychologist, Dr. Pam Spur. Dr. Pam, how are you?
I'm very well, Patrick. How are you?
I'm all right. I mean, I'm angry. I'm angry at the cost of living crisis. We're all being skinned. We're all being made to go skin. Our bills are going through the roof. Our politicians have got a pay rise. And we've got some, no doubt, probably quite well-to-do individuals training themselves to an oil tanker. Are they right in their head, this lot?
Yeah, you know, I don't like using statements like right in their head. And I certainly do not blame them for our rising prices of energy. Psychological research shows there's many motivations for people who protest, ranging from real altruistic reasons. They figure getting down there, being another body, shows, you know, the world, the government, whatever, how many people are concerned, right through to motivations like grandiosity and narcissism. So sometimes you get the leaders of different demonstrations or protests actually have quite a grandiose opinion of themselves, that they will solve the world's problems. So there are a lot of motivations for people going on these protests, but they can be very high octane and quite tense. I went on a couple Extinction Rebellion protests a couple years ago until I disagreed with them stopping people getting to Heathrow, you know, stopping getting on tube trains, that kind of thing. Yeah. But I feel very strongly about environmental issues. So I do know how intense it is when you are there. And that means you produce more hormones that are stress hormones, cortisol and adrenaline. And that creates a mix where people are more likely to cry like that woman and get emotional because of these very high-octane mixes of hormones.
I understand that, Pam, and that's an excellent summary, really, of the situation. But I really thought that woman was crying because she was genuinely terrified of the end of the world and the death of her children. And that's quite an odd mindset to have, isn't it? It's quite doomsday stuff. Isn't it a bit death culty? How do you buy into that?
Well, that's just one woman from that protest. So we don't know how many of the people there demonstrating were actually in tears, were upset. I would say probably very little. But I'm not surprised that someone like that, who's obviously hugely invested in it, in the movement, getting that upset. And as I said at the start, there are different motivations for people going to these protests. And sometimes it can be quite an obsessional view of life that they have to be involved in every aspect of this particular movement to make a difference. And that takes a lot of emotional energy. And she's probably wrung herself out like a sponge. And that's why we saw her crying.
Yeah, OK. And now what I'm concerned, right, is that she said to me earlier on today that she was a mother, OK? And her child was quite young. Now, if that's her view and that's her attitude, how susceptible would a child be to picking up on that psychologically. Because if I was growing up living with a mother who was constantly talking to me or constantly thinking or constantly getting hysterical about the end of the world, I imagine that might damage me.
Well, I would hope that a parent like herself, like me with my environmental concerns, I certainly don't worry my children and grandchildren about it. I just feel that the best action for a parent like that is not to show a child that they're that upset, not to show a child that they're worried the end of the world is within 30 years. So I hope that a parent like that contains it at home. She may contain it, or maybe she doesn't. But it's the same, Patrick, with things like anxiety around COVID, anxiety around school exams. Parents need to contain their own anxiety. It is their duty not to infect their child with their own anxieties. Yes, bring up your child to care about the environment, make sure little Johnny does the recycling every Friday, whatever, but do not spread your anxieties to the child.
No, OK, absolutely. And you certainly are very reasonable and very in control. And you dealt well with my rather provocative questioning there, Dr. Pam Spur. Thank you very, very much. Look, ladies and gentlemen, we want to hear from you on this exact issue. You can email us, gbviews@gbnews.uk. Make sure you do get in touch. And we do want to see pictures of you. Look, don't be ashamed, don't be afraid, because millions of people are in the same exact position right now where you're not putting your heating on. It's freezing outside. I imagine it might be freezing in your front room. If you're all huddled there with your jumpers, send the pictures in, gbviews@gbnews.uk, and let's get them out there. But I'm joined tonight by two real men. I'm sure you'll agree. The rose between two thorns, though, and it's the security specialist Will Geddes and the sports journalist and broadcaster as well, the one and only Aidan McGee. How are we, chaps? You all right?
Very well, Patrick.
Thank you, but you both look like men who normally enjoy your Friday evening, so I'm quite shocked you're here.
Well, so am I.
Exactly.
Will and I had a teeth whitening contest.
We did, and he won. He won.
Oh, there we are. Well, let's just start with... Look, we're going to do a massive range of different things on this show, but Will, I'll start with you. You know, this lot, do they need just locking up these, Extinction Rebellions, Just Stop Oil?
Yeah. Simple answer. I mean, I've worked against a whole bunch of these guys in the past where I've had clients who've had protesters. And as much as I love Dr. Pam Spur, and I think she's brilliant, she always encapsulates it well. There is another dynamic as well, which are the individuals who've got nothing better to do with their time.
Exactly.
Who just want to basically run with the wave of fervour and just join in. So, to be honest, most of them are really along for a laugh, and there are the disillusioned, there are the altruistic, but I think the vast majority are narcissistic.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, over to you.
Well, I just thought an oil campaign should be a little bit slicker. Do you know what I think?
We've started, ladies and gentlemen. We're away. Aidan McGee, take over.
Look, when they start interrupting football matches, that's when it gets serious. You know, there was a guy the other week with a silly hairstyle. Chaining himself. Well, he wasn't chaining
himself.
To the
goalpost, wasn't it?
Yeah,
zip tied.
You see, it was like a zip tie, a little bit of plastic, and then this bloke who worked for Everton came out and hacked it to pieces. It was a bit over the top, And,
I like the memes that went around after he was trying to get the zip tie off.
Yeah, I know, that's fantastic. And then, he put the strain on his face as well.
Yeah.
Brilliant. But no, I'm just getting fed up with protesters like everybody else is. What's wrong with Swampy? You're too young for Swampy.
I remember Swampy. Well, I remember of Swampy.
I remember Swampy.
I liked him because he had a bit of style. He had a Mercedes C500. Which
Did he?
Quite a good model.
And he was the man, just to remind of you, is he dug himself into the ground.
Yeah, he was objecting to the building of the Newbury bypass back in about 1997.
Right.
That's it.
And
then he got up a tree as well.
Yeah, and there was a picture of him in a Mercedes. And they said, protesting's been very kind to Swampy.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I liked his style, At least he drove a car. It must have been about 5 litres, probably, that car.
Yeah, exactly.
Fuel injection.
Well, that's the hypocrisy of it, isn't it? And, you do listen to a lot of these people and you think, gosh, you sound like you've had a rather cracking education. Why aren't you at work today out of interest? And it does beg certain questions, doesn't it, about their personal and their private life. But on today of all days, Will, it was massively tone deaf. Today is the day where people are, frankly, staring at their wallets and just crying into them, right?
Yeah.
And then this lot decides to just make people's lives even more miserable.
I mean, you really couldn't put more lemon juice in the wound, to be honest. I mean, I just got my electricity bill and it was off the charts in terms of
It was one of those things I didn't expect would actually happen. I thought, that's just a bit of fear-mongering from the media. But
I felt we were going to get stealthed after COVID.
Yeah.
The amount of money that the government spent, they're going to stealth tax us through a number of different things. But the thing that really ticks me off with the power companies, the energy companies, is that many of these guys are making such significant profits year in, year out. And, you know, I do understand there are the operational costs, and I've seen one of the companies which seem to have a much more, use the word again, altruistic approach to it. And I think some of the other oil companies and energy companies have to think, you know what, we need to club together here. Because I think your point, even though it's kind of amusing about people wrapping up warm their living rooms, there are some people out there really in hardship. And, you know, and it's so damn cold out there at the moment. I mean, yes, we're coming into the summer, but it's still going to hit people badly.
I don't know if I've ever mentioned my portfolio of rental properties.
Okay, no.
But,
well, no, not until now. Yeah.
No, I'm happy to talk about it if you like.
Fast, is it? Yeah.
Well, I don't want to discuss size. No, discuss size. But no, it says I do each deal. So I rent to students mainly, but each deal includes bills. Okay. So I charge them a certain fee to include bills, and it cuts down the admin and stuff like that, and I can be in control of what they use. But there's no upper limit on that, and so I'm going to be hit multiple times. Which you probably find funny, but...
Well, you're a man of the people.
They've made millions already, so that's fine.
Okay, right, we're going to move on from that. Obviously, the panel will be coming in and out of the show for the rest of the evening, but we do want to hear from you. As I've said, you can email us, gbviews@gbnews.uk. Look, seriously, I know it might sound a bit light-hearted. A lot of you are going to be really, really struggling at the minute. I'm struggling at the minute, to be honest with you. And if you are sat at home now and you're freezing and you've got your woolly jumper on or your coat on or your scarf on or something like that, just send it in, because I want the government to see the very real picture that's going on across the country.
When prices go up, do they ever really come down?
No,
that's the key thing.
They may come down a bit, but they'll still make a bit of a margin there, I think.
That's right. Exactly. So get used to it, people. Right, you can also tweet us at GB News, and I'll read out a section of your comments a little later in the show. But next, though, it's our big debate as we discuss whether MPs deserve a £2,000 pay rise. That kicked in today. Today's the day that the cost of living crisis really hits home. Household bills are going to be up 54%. Old people especially are going to have to choose between heating and eating. We're being confronted by the very real possibility now that people won't be able to feed their kids, and the elderly might freeze to death in their own homes. But you know what else happened today, ladies and gents? MP's got a pay rise, yeah, a big one. 2.7%, they're on more than 84k. They're not struggling, are they? In fact, their pay rise probably covers the cost of living crisis in their own homes. I want to find out whether or not the British public think that's a massive kick in the teeth.
Well, nice for them, isn't it? And they've got to cope with the cost of living rises as well, I suppose, haven't they?
It's obviously ridiculous, you know, obviously ridiculous. So how much time are we going to spend talking about it?
You work for a local authority, and the pay rise for you, how much is it this year?
Not a lot.
Not a lot?
Not enough.
Yeah, I don't think probably having pay rises at this moment in time is probably the most sensible thing, or the most appropriate thing.
I think if you're saying the MP should get a pay rise, then everybody should get the pay rise as well. If everybody was getting one, then you could argue it, but unfortunately there's too many people not getting one, which makes it difficult to justify the MPs getting it, really. That's what I'd say.
Personally, I think that people should get paid for what they do.
Right.
And they don't seem to be doing very much lately.
Well, they shouldn't probably get it, should they? Do you know what I mean? Everyone's finding it difficult, so, yeah. Personally, no, I don't think they should have.
Well, they need to explain the reasons for this happening. I think if they explain it in a proper way and people understand, I don't think it's such a big increase.
Well, yeah, I think we've all stopped believing that they're ever going to do the right thing. So, I don't know, I've got to pack up, I've got my suitcase, I'm going to Guam, I don't know, somewhere where it's better than this.
Well, there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. The public pretty much united against the MP's pay rise. I think it's the timing of it more than anything, isn't it? Very, very tone deaf. When we come back from this short break, I'm going to be reading out some of your views, gbviews@gbnews.uk. Do you think it's right that MPs are getting a pay rise when we're all getting skinter? But we're also going to have a head-to-head debate on this with two box office heavyweight guests. Don't go anywhere. Europe is in the grip of the most devastating humanitarian crisis since World War II.
The people of Ukraine are facing unimaginable suffering
as their homes are destroyed and their loved ones are killed.
Millions of people are being forced to flee for their lives, carrying only their children, their pets, and the clothes on their back.
The pain, loss and destruction grows by the day.
The people of Ukraine urgently need our help.
Already a vast humanitarian operation is underway. Britain's Disasters Emergency Committee, or DEC, brings together 15 leading aid charities to respond to overseas disasters quickly and efficiently. These charities include the British Red Cross, CARE, Oxfam, Save the Children and World Vision.
Their teams are working on the ground in Ukraine and neighbouring countries to bring vital aid to those who need it most. If you can spare it, your gift to the DEC's humanitarian appeal will go a really long way.
£10 provides essential hygiene supplies for a person for a month.
£50 provides blankets for 4 families.
£100 provides emergency food for 2 families per month.
It's easy to give. You can donate online at dec.org.uk or call the 24-hour donation line on 0370 60 60 900. If you prefer to send a cheque, please post it to the Ukraine Humanitarian Appeal, PO Box 999, London, EC 3A 3AA. To give £10 on your mobile, simply text the word crisis to 70150. Standard network charges apply for calls and you must be 16 or over. Texts are charged at the standard network rate and your £10 donation will be added to your bill.
100% of your donation goes directly to the DEC to save lives and deliver critical support where it's needed.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Friday Night Feast. Now, on the same day that millions of households were hit with huge increases in energy prices, every single MP has been treated to a pay rise. Yep, that's right. Politicians who already earned almost £82,000 will now get more than 84 grand. It'll certainly make it easier for MPs to get through the cost of living crisis, won't it? That'll cause so much pain for so many of their own constituents. But then again, why shouldn't MPs be paid more? Don't they need a good wage? That's the only way we ensure we get some of the country's brightest minds. Though you look at the Labour front bench and you think, is that really correct? But anyway, clearly they could reject being an MP for a better job elsewhere. And in many ways, I think we all wish Angela Rayner did. Joining me to debate this is the former Conservative MP, the one and only, the legend, the national treasure herself, Anne Widdecombe. And of course, we've got the rising star of political commentary, Daniel Boxall from the Taxpayers Alliance. Both of you, thank you very, very much. Great to have you on the show. Anne, I'll start with you. Is it right that MPs have got a pay rise? It looks awful.
Right. There are 2 separate issues here. One is, do they deserve the pay rise? And the second is, should they have it? Now, as far as deserving the pay rise goes, I would say yes, and indeed there's a huge back history to MPs not getting the pay rises recommended independently because they thought it was politically unwise. So do they deserve it? Yes. Should they have it? No. For heaven's sake, no. If you actually look at what Andrew Bailey said and how right he was, as the Governor of the Bank of England, that we must resist responding to rising prices by asking for rising wages, because if we do that, we're going to be back where we were in the 70s. And those of us who lived through it have very vivid memories of this, where for years and years, prices went up. Therefore, workers asked for their wages to go up, which in turn sent the prices up, which in turn sent the wages up. And you had this vicious circle. Now, if MPs are going to ask us, as they should, to show restraint for pay rises, they should be setting the first example. And they're certainly not doing that with this rise.
I think that makes sense. Although, Danielle, I want you to hit back on that. Do you agree with Anne Widdecombe that they actually deserve the pay rise? Because there's quite a lot of people might be watching this thinking, you know, we had these lockdowns, we had these rather harebrained policies, our push towards net zero, and all of a sudden here we are, and that's maybe exacerbated the problem. Danielle, do they deserve it?
Yeah, well, I don't think it's up to me personally to decide whether they deserve it or not. But I think the public will certainly feel that, you know, they might be getting a bit of the short end of the stick here. You know, when MPs are getting a pay rise, well, they're facing rising energy bills, they're facing rising taxes from today, council tax going up, national insurance is being introduced today, the national insurance hike. There's a lot of pressures facing families at the moment, and I think it's going to not play very well that MPs are getting a pay rise at the same time.
Yeah, Danielle, let's just stick with you for now. Do you think it's going to hit them at the ballot box? It is terrible optics, this, because I've just been seeing loads of images. Thank you for everyone who's really bought into this. Loads of images of people sending me in their pictures of them all wrapped up woolly hat scarves in their front rooms. Meanwhile, you know, 2,200 quid knocks a bit off the cost of living crisis, doesn't it, Danielle?
Yeah, indeed. And, you know, even without the pay rise, I think MPs are pretty fairly remunerated anyway. I mean, you know, before the pay rise, they were getting about £81,000, and now they're going to get about 84. And that's, you know, that's more than the average household, not just the average individual, the average household earns in a year. So I think they have, a fair deal at the moment, and households are going to be quite shocked to see MPs getting this pay rise whilst they're facing, a choice between heating and eating, and what's going to be a really, difficult few months, even a few years.
All right, absolutely. Anne, I'll throw it back over to you. There is an argument, of course, isn't there, that actually what we might be better doing is paying MPs even more, because then you attract the best and the brightest. Someone like Rishi Sunak, for example, was already fabulously wealthy before he got his keys on number 11, and so maybe he could afford to be the Chancellor. I can't help but wonder whether or not, if he wasn't a multimillionaire and his wife wasn't a multimillionaire, he'd have still gone into this line of work. Do we need to pay them more to attract the best, Anne?
Well, I would have said that we did need to pay them more. If you actually look back, as I say, over the history of MPs' pay rises, there's been too much cowardice about it. If you suggest that they get so much as a five or more, there's a public outcry, and so they give in. They give in. Now, what we need is a proper review. If you actually look at what doctors get, what headmasters get, what lots of other people get, MPs actually, given that most of them are working a 7-day week, are not actually terribly well remunerated. I'm going to say that. I know it's unpopular, but that doesn't detract from my argument that however fair or unfair their pay is, they should not be doing this at this moment, because they're going to have to tell us to exercise restraint. Well, we'll be looking for the example, won't we?
Absolutely. And I think it's a question of value for money from the taxpayer as well, Danielle, isn't it? And I suspect, as you alluded to earlier, a lot of members of the public might feel they've not exactly been treated to some of the best shining examples of political class over the last couple of years. But do you expect, Danielle, that there may well be a situation of mass non-payment from taxpayers when they go, look, hang on, I just can't afford this and I'm not paying?
Well, I wouldn't advise that to happen, because, that would be quite a difficult situation for a lot of people, and potentially, putting people into legal trouble. So I wouldn't advise that myself personally, but there is going to be a lot of public anger. And Anne mentioned that, maybe we should look at how GPs are paid, and they're paid more than MPs, sure. But I don't think people are very happy with their services with GPs either. And I don't think people think that GPs should be paying more at the moment when, GPs' surgeries are cutting back the hours. They're still carrying on with these video appointments and things like that. So I think this is a broader argument about public sector pay more generally. And, we're seeing council tax bosses on hundreds of thousands of pounds. And people are really questioning whether public servants are delivering value for money. And I think that's why we should sort of look to a system, especially in particular for MPs, where instead of increasing their pay by public sector increases in pay, which is what it's currently pegged to, we should look at, moving to a more economically sustainable model where MPs' pay is pegged to GDP per capita. So MPs really have a sort of incentive there to improve the economy and make our lives better as a whole.
All right, you very nearly got me started on GPs there, Danielle, but I'm going to have to save that one till next week. I don't want my head to explode. But, Anne, I'll give you the final word. Do you expect, or let me rephrase that, would you encourage MPs who get this pay rise to give that pay rise to charity or to give it into something that's a good cause?
Yes, I absolutely would. I think that's one way of dealing with it. For example, I have always been totally against the universal heating allowance that everybody gets, each winter, whether they need it or not. And I've always given mine away to an old folks charity because I think that's the right thing to do with it. And I would say that now, but the fact is, even if individual MPs do that, and even if people know they're doing that and approve of it, they're still going to feel a very nasty taste in the mouth, because the MPs actually they didn't give it to themselves, but accepted this rise in the first place. And it's just wrong at this time. By all means, put that rise into the kitty so that when in future years you're looking at it, you take it into account, and that will help with pensions, etc. But don't take it now, or if you're going to take it now, Boris, don't ask us to exercise restraint, because we shan't.
There we go. Wise words on both counts there, I think. Former Conservative MP Anne Widdecombe and, of course, Danielle Boxall there from the Taxpayers Alliance. Both of you, thank you very much. Thoroughly enjoyed that. You'll have to come back on very soon. Let's crack on with the panel now, I think. Well, I'll just start with you. Does it sit well with you that your MP will have had a pay rise at this
No, it doesn't at all, for a number of reasons. I think the first of which is it's a little bit like a CEO for a large organisation or a company, and the company's failing and they're having to offload loads of staff, and he decides to, or she decides to, award themselves a big bonus or a big pay rise. I think whilst we're in these times of austerity, we're coming out of COVID, we're getting taxed to the hilt, energy prices are going up. Now is a really, read the room. This is not the time for them to increase their salaries. Or for that matter, when we consider that over and beyond those salaries, they have huge concessions for expenses, housing, all sorts of things. So 82 grand, maybe the base salary, but the bonuses with the expenses probably knocking them well over the 100 mark.
Yeah, no, you're a man who likes money. You've got a bustling property portfolio.
Stop bringing it up.
Hardly ever like to talk about. Which you hardly ever like to talk about. So, yeah, same question as you, really. Does it sit well with you that your MP's had a pay rise? You're not that bothered?
Look, let's be honest. £2,000 in London is not a significant rise. Once you pay, that's going to be taxed at 40%.
It'd get you a mansion in Hull, that.
Yeah, probably would. That was, especially if they knew it's an area I know quite well. So, so £2,000 with the higher rate of tax, 40% on that. It's not a lot of money. They're living in central London locations a lot of the time. Alistair Campbell used to prattle on for years about how the calibre is lower than it's ever been in Parliament.
Yeah.
And I kind of agree with him in a way. I don't think that the class of 2022 is quite what it was maybe 20 years ago, if you put it up, person for person in the chamber. And I worry that being an MP is going to become a bit like journalism in some ways, and I'll bring it back to my profession. Now, if I consider what the generation ahead of me, a couple of generations ahead of me earned back in the 70s and 80s, the life they had, they earned a lot more than my generation. I don't necessarily think the calibre's gone down. I'd like to think not, anyway.
Yeah.
But it became a little bit, my profession, one for...
It was a vocation. It was more of a vocation.
Yeah, vocation, but those who could afford to do it. Right. A lot of posh people.
Yeah.
A lot of people who had separate incomes.
Absolutely.
Additional revenue streams to enable them to fulfil their dream. There'll always be a demand to do it because it's very prestigious being an MP, and journalism is a fun job.
I'd take it one step further then. OK, so if we said that some people deserved it and it's not a significant uplift in their existing salary.
For the amount, actually, Will, for the amount, if for PR-wise,
I get that. But I mean, in terms of, say, performance-related, are they actually measured against their performance? So if someone's actually doing a good enough job, so like you'll have KPIs, in other industries to actually measure whether that person's pulling their weight, doing their job.
How do you measure the performance of an MP?
There are many, many ways, I'm sure, in terms of what they're doing for their community. Are they saving money? All sorts of things. Or are they just there prattling along and just taking the money for the sake of the position?
Well, it would have been interesting to see if someone had asked Matt Hancock's wife.
Back in the 80s, they were earning like 25 grand.
All right, we've got to move on. I love this. I love it. Spicy. Get in. Right, so we're going to go to a break. But in a couple of minutes, we'll bring you this week's Challenge Christys. But ahead of that, here's a quick question for you, OK? What have the tow loop, the Salcho and the Lutz got in common? I'll bring you the answer and tell you why I'm asking that question in a couple of minutes. I'll see you then, everyone. Europe is in the grip of the most devastating humanitarian crisis since World War II.
The people of Ukraine are facing unimaginable suffering
as their homes are destroyed and their loved ones are killed.
Millions of people are being forced to flee for their lives, carrying only their children, their pets, and the clothes on their back.
The pain, loss and destruction grows by the day.
The people of Ukraine urgently need our help.
Already a vast humanitarian operation is underway. Britain's Disasters Emergency Committee, or DEC, brings together 15 leading aid charities to respond to overseas disasters quickly and efficiently. These charities include the British Red Cross, CARE, Oxfam, Save the Children and World Vision.
Their teams are working on the ground in Ukraine and neighbouring countries to bring vital aid to those who need it most. If you can spare it, your gift to the DEC's humanitarian appeal will go a really long way.
£10 provides essential hygiene supplies for a person for a month.
£50 provides blankets for 4 families.
£100 provides emergency food for 2 families per month.
It's easy to give. You can donate online at dec.org.uk or call the 24-hour donation line on 0370 60 60 900. If you prefer to send a cheque, please post it to the Ukraine Humanitarian Appeal, PO Box 999, London, EC 3A 3AA. To give £10 on your mobile, simply text the word crisis to 70150. Standard network charges apply for calls and you must be 16 or over. Texts are charged at the standard network rate and your £10 donation will be added to your bill.
100% of your donation goes directly to the DEC to save lives and deliver critical support where it's needed.
Welcome back to Friday Night Feast, everyone. Now, before the break, I asked you this question. What have the toe loop, the salchow and the lutz got in common? The answer is they are all jumps in ice skating, and that leads me neatly onto this. It's that time of the week again. It's my favourite time of the week. It's Challenge Christys, when you set me a challenge and I prove once and for all that I'm better at it than the professionals. Boxing, wrestling, Irish dancing, you name it, I've nailed it. And if you've got a challenge for me, email me at patrick@gbnews.uk. Can I just say this week was the best of all of the challenge suggestions that we've ever had. I'm going to keep all of them a surprise, really, but goodness gracious me, there's some ones there that, yeah, they're a bit fruity. Anyway, I promise you that I've got some crackers obviously lined up in the next few weeks, but now, here's what I was up to this week. Hello everyone, Patrick Christys here. Welcome to the latest instalment of Challenge Christys for me at GB News on Friday Night Feast. Now, I must admit I have got a rough idea what I'm here to do because I can see what's going on the other side of that camera, but... Thank you very much. Yep, no, I did think as much. What could go wrong, eh? You see, this is exactly why people need to tell me what it is that I'm doing before I come to it. Look, I'm in shorts and a t-shirt. I'm already freezing. What happens? It's not if, by the way, it's when I fall. Okay, so here I am at Queen's, and to be honest with you, it looks brilliant. There's lots of children's classes going on, so I imagine it's going to be all about the beginner, and I'm going to learn how to do a figure skating dance routine with someone who's just used to, I suppose, I don't know, teaching amateurs, really. They don't imagine really know what they're on. Oh, hello, mate. Are you going to be teaching me how to figure skate?
Yes, I will.
Fantastic. What's your name?
Leo.
So what are we going to be doing today, mate?
So today I'm going to try and teach you at least one jump and at least one spin.
Just, no, sorry, mate. Are you sure about the insurance for this? It's just that it sounds a bit deathy. When you say jump, I mean like that's the jump.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's it? Well, you know what? Maybe it's time for a little demonstration. Flipping heck. He's gone around. I think I'll be sick. Oh. Well, we've met Leo. We've all seen what he can do. And so now it's my turn, but I don't really ice skate. I mean, who does? So I thought I'd enlist a little help from my buddy over here. Got a number 1 on it. Oh, there we go. This is all right.
Today I'm going to be teaching a routine consisting of a jump and a spin. You know, it's not that hard. I've taught people that are a lot worse than him. Off camera, he told me he would be embarrassed himself, really. Oh, God. He really is a disaster. I think it'll be harder than we think.
Right, so, Leo, break down the routine for me.
We'll start with the spin. You're already standing up, which is perfect.
Just for now, yeah.
It's just a turn. A circle, and we make that circle smaller and smaller. You bring your arms out.
Yeah.
You're going to skate forward, get a little bit of speed.
Okay.
You're going to bring your right arm in, and you're going to turn. And then you're going to, once you close that circle, you're going to close your arms. There.
How does he do that? How does he... To get round.
There you go.
Oh, all right.
And then you spin into yourself.
And then you're spinning.
On the other foot.
Flipping out, Leo.
Don't try and point your toes out.
Don't try and do it.
Otherwise you'll do the splits.
Right. This is dead easy, isn't it, at the end of the day? How many years is it taking you to learn all this stuff?
10 years.
10 years.
Whole
So
10
I've got
years.
25 minutes. Okay. Arms out. See, I added a flourish there as well. You didn't do that, so I'm already winning. And then tuck in and really go into it. Okay.
That's not it.
This time, I mean it.
The next thing will be the jump, which is, I don't expect you to get it like, we'll come over here to the boards.
Yeah.
And we'll use the boards as a guide for us. So you'll be holding onto the boards here. You give it a bit of a push, grab it with your right hand,
grab it on the
transfer it to the right foot. There.
And transfer
There you
that
go.
one.
Perfect.
And when they're in the Olympics, right, they always use the board, don't they?
No. That is your guide.
This is my guide. Okay, so...
Yeah.
Oh, no.
You're jumping twice. The spin for you looks harder than the jump. I'm quite surprised.
I think it's just because fundamentally I've got a body like a dropped lasagna and no coordination whatsoever. It's lucky I've got a razor sharp mark. Wait, what are we doing here?
A little bit of a hop. I'll be happy.
Just a little hop. Just give it a little hop. All right, Leo, give it a little hop.
Your right arm slightly behind you.
Yeah.
Yeah. What you're going to do is you're going to push there.
Where am I pushing? Here. Go. Oh. But then how do I get the hop?
There you go. There you go. Perfect. Oh, God.
Just like that. Yeah, that was okay, I think, wasn't it? Am I doing all right?
Good, man. Yeah, you're doing much better than...
Oh. It's no wonder they're sort of going extinct, is it? Well, there we are. I mean, I think we can all agree that was absolutely magnificent. If you are listening on GB News Radio, you can watch me on the ice right now on our YouTube channel and also our Facebook page. To be honest, figure skating, absolute piece of cake. Don't know what all the fuss is about. And, of course, if, like Leo, you've been doing it for 10 years, I mean, goodness me, what's he got to complain about, hey? But someone who's dedicated even more of her life to the sport is Ellie Penfold. And Ellie is part of the Team GB team that is heading to Canada next week for the World Synchronised Skating Championships. And I'm delighted to say that she joins me now. Thank you very, very much. Fantastic. I don't know if you were able to catch any of that. Could you see any of that on your screen or yeah? And you still decided to come on. OK, great. How do you think I did?
Do you know, I think you were great. Just a little more practice and you'll be smashing it in no time.
Fantastic. OK, so look, how long have you been actually doing synchronised skating?
So I've been doing synchronised ice skating for about 15 years now, so quite a while. You know, I do absolutely love it though. It's become a part of my identity and who I am, really.
No, absolutely. And have you got high hopes when you go to Canada for the World Synchronised Skating Championships? How do we normally do as a nation?
Do you know, I think it will all really depend. I'm feeling hopeful, but we're all really excited and we're ready to go. We fly next Tuesday and there's going to be about 25 other teams from across the world and I think there's about 18,000 people going to be watching. So I'm nervous, but I'm ready and excited for sure.
Do you struggle to perform in front of that many people?
Do you know, to be honest with you, I've never performed in front of that many people before, but when I hit the ice... yeah, gosh. But when I'm with my team, honestly, they're like my family, so...
Fantastic. What made you get into synchronised skating as opposed to just figure skating or one of those, or speed skating, I suppose?
Yeah, do you know, that's a really interesting point. I think you probably have to ask my parents on that one. I think they sort of shoved me in and it was something I absolutely fell in love with. So here I am today.
Fantastic. Well, look, I obviously had a really, really great time, and it's important to say as well that was at Queen's, which is down the road from here, actually, on Queensway. It's fantastic, that place. OK, they've got the ice rink. You can go curling on it. You've got 10-pin bowling, VIP bowling lanes, which, of course, they wouldn't let me in. And they've got a restaurant down there. So I would actually thoroughly... And an arcade. I thoroughly... urge anyone to go down to Queen's and do that. But if you can just give a message to people now who want to get into ice skating, what would you say to them? Sell it to them.
Yeah, of course. I think just give it a go for it. You know, it's such a beautiful sport and there's so much to learn and so many people to meet as well. I think take that jump and go for it. It's so much fun.
Fantastic. Look, Ellie, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us, especially on a Friday night, and good luck. All the best of British for you when you get to Canada to no doubt win, to clean up. There's Ellie Penfold there, of course, who will be part of Team GP heading into Canada next week for the World Synchronised Skating Championships. Aidan, you've been on thin ice numerous times in your career.
Yeah, I have.
How did it give you that?
I want to take you back, if I could just get serious for a moment.
Yeah, you know, absolutely. Yeah.
To 2007.
Right.
The Spectrum in Guildford.
Right.
I was with an ex-girlfriend of mine. She said, "You've got to try ice skating." So I said, "Oh, goodness me, all right, I'll give it a go just to shut her up, you know. She's in my ear all the time, give it a go, give it a go." Anyway, so I went onto the ice, I gave it about 3 seconds, fell over, and then went into the stands and just read the Daily Mail while she went round and round, and that was it, and that's my entire ice skating career.
Fantastic.
Yeah, no, not really. No, it was rubbish.
Well, no way. I mean, it was
and then you married her a year later.
No, certainly not. No, she. As I say the Spectrum. She was on the Spectrum.
Okay, right.
Sorry.
Well, have you ever been ice skating?
I have been ice skating. It's not a good sight, and you know, as I warn people when they see horrible material, what is seen can never be unseen.
Yes.
So I apologise to members of the public out there. They're small children who may have seen me on ice. It's a traumatic experience. You know, it's like those celebrity shows.
Yeah,
you and I were talking about this earlier.
Yeah.
There is no way, even if I was a celebrity, would I do that skating,
dancing on ice
thing.
Yeah.
Absolute nightmare. I'd do Strictly in a heartbeat, and actually they have a few
just
nobody
a cheeky
songs.
little plug there.
Yeah.
Sorry, Strictly your Heartbeat, did you say?
No, Heartbeat. Heartbeat. No, I'd have a heartbeat.
Oh, sorry.
But, you know, because they have a few nobodies, they'd like to pad out the show with a few nobodies. So, you know, Strictly, if you're listening, I'm on.
Absolutely.
Definitely. But not the dancing on ice. No way.
Never. On ice.
Never enough money.
Okay, never enough money, that's right. Might have stuck with Gemma Collins. Anyway, I'm having some real fun proving just how good I am at all these challenges, of course. Thank you very much for everyone who's been sending in some rather nice emails, actually. Not a lot of hate this week, which is unusual. I've already filmed... I've already filmed the challenge that we're going to show next Friday. So, yeah, so I think you can see a little bit of that there. Yep, that's for our radio listeners. That's the Dream Boys, I believe. Yes.
As I was saying, what is seen can never be unseen.
No. Well, I'm obviously just lurking in the back there, as I imagine I would do most events hosted by the Dream Boys. But yeah, so I met the Dream Boys, of course. Now these are a group of, let's be honest, male strippers, but they're very, 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 very talented. Absolutely, they put on massive shows. In fact, I'm sure there's quite a lot of women watching this now who might have.
They pack out wherever they go, don't they?
Yeah, they do. It's absolutely massive.
I can get a ticket for love of money.
Huge. There's a good documentary on Amazon about the Chippendales, and it's just the female following is huge.
Yeah,
it's fantastic. But, excuse me, gosh, so I liked it so much I managed to choke on a peanut, but there we are. Now, have you got an idea for what I can do in future Challenge Christys? I'll be honest, I can't be bothered doing the work myself. Why would I? So I want you to arrange my next challenge for me. This is what I call Patrick's Promise. So you set it up, you pay for it all, then I'll turn up, sign a few autographs and leave. You know how it is. So go on. What are you waiting for? Email me, patrick@gbnews.uk, and who knows, you might be lucky enough to meet me. But just quickly, yes, I've got a massive, massive, massive announcement coming your way for next week's show, for next week's Challenge Christys. You're not going to want to miss it. It's going to be huge. Well, it's time now for Patrick's hat trick. When I look at 3 videos that have been doing the rounds on social media this week, we start with an incident that was tweeted yesterday by Northamptonshire Police, and it's fair to say it provoked plenty of debate on Twitter. Paul Miley pleaded guilty to careless driving after a cyclist fell off their bike. But I suspect you might have a few views on this, ladies and gents. Have a look at it. Why is she falling off her bike? Yeah, I don't get it. I mean, that was just like a bloke driving his car and a woman making a big deal out of it.
I mean, it's not for anyone who drives in central London. I mean, it's not, you know, it's how rare it is for a cyclist to be a bit hypersensitive and possibly even a bit sanctimonious, you know.
Absolutely.
But,
no, surely not.
I mean, that's she's gone down a bit easy in the box, hasn't she?
Yeah, absolutely. You can see the gap there, can't you? Look, and for our radio listeners as well, there's at least a metre and a bit.
That's a comedy roll, isn't it? Into the hedgerow.
Without doubt.
I mean, to be honest,
there.
that's standard operating procedures in London. I mean, as Aidan was saying, if you cycle in London, and I used to cycle in London, you're used to that all the time.
Yeah.
So
you've gone the old reverse ferret then, because a lot of people used to drive in London and now they cycle, but you've decided that you've gone the other way.
No, I want to live. I'm about risk mitigation, Patrick.
It's treacherous. Those guys find it treacherous, you know. And sometimes, you know, going to Islington or something like that, at 8 o'clock in the morning, the traffic lights, it's like the peloton. It really is.
Yeah.
In Lycra.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. I'm always very, very, very sceptical about people who video themselves cycling.
Yeah.
Jeremy Vine, he usually gets a mention on this show.
Oh, yes.
Jeremy Vine videos himself cycling and posts clips with things like, what do you think of this? Well, I think you should get off that penny farthing and grow up, Jeremy. Our next video features the England cricketer Mark Wood, who, it's fair to say, is a little bit of a character. He's been known to ride an imaginary horse around the outfield when he's bored, and last weekend he had an operation on an elbow injury. And he posted videos of him talking absolute gibberish when he was coming round after a general anaesthetic. Let's take a look at it.
I am so chilled with the elbow. Is my arm still attached?
Yeah, definitely.
They cut my arm off.
No.
Keyhole?
Keyhole, yeah.
Bone gone?
Yes.
Lollipop, lollipop. Cup of tea. Do you know what Northern boys love? Gravy.
Oh yeah.
And buffalo.
What you like?
I used to like buffalo.
That'll be me in 2 hours' time, that. But Will, like I said, you know, Mark Wood is known for riding a horse during a match. When was the last time you rode a stallion?
It's a good question. A few years, Patrick.
It's been a few years.
I used to ride a lot, actually. Used to ride a lot, yeah.
Good stuff.
But I broke my back in 2 places.
Oh, gosh. Okay,
yes.
fair enough.
So I don't go on a horse now. I just bring the tone right down.
No, fair enough. Hey, it's always good stuff. And Aidan, obviously, you talk a lot of gibberish without anaesthetic. So how do you do it, mate? You don't need any help.
I want to, if I could just get serious for a moment, I want to take you back
again.
I want to take you back to 2014. I had a minor operation. I did have general anaesthetic for an hour and a half. I remember the surgeon asked me a question about Queen's Park Rangers, who I support. We're in the playoffs that night, Wigan away, big game. And I was talking away, and then it seemed like 10 seconds later I woke up having had the operation. So it was almost like I bored myself into an anaesthetic.
Yeah, I'm always very concerned. I mean, I don't tend to have too many operations, right? But I had one of the. Is it an endoscopy down?
Yeah.
I've had that.
That's not much fun.
No, much fun because you're
no camera, isn't it?
You're just about conscious for it, right? And they give you all the drugs.
It's very uncomfortable.
And but it kind of basically mimics. You just feel absolutely off your nut, right? And I had to be kind of held back by a nurse for demanding more of it after it got to surgery.
Have you had general anaesthetic?
Yeah. I've been knocked out a few times and come around talking gibberish as well. So,
absolutely.
But then again, some people say I'm still doing it now.
Not me though. Yeah.
Right, let's round off this Patrick's hat trick. Let's go for the perfect hat trick today, and it features Conservative councillor Tiger Patel. If you don't know Tiger Patel, okay, where have you been? Get on Twitter just after the show, obviously. And just search for Tiger, spelled the usual way, Patel, again spelled the usual way. This guy's an absolute character. So he's fixed a bollard after a car crashed into it. Incidentally, the Levelling Up Secretary Michael Gove has described Patel as one of his heroes for the work that he does for the community in Blackburn. Just check this out. There he is, of course. There you are. You can see him. If you're listening on the radio, let me know, obviously, Tell you, this bollard is looking in a pretty sorry state, isn't he? We can all see it there. But here he comes, Councillor Patel, to save the day. It's not the first time that one of his clips has gone viral, though. The councillor hit the headlines when his campaign video for last May's local council elections accidentally featured an X-rated piece of graffiti. So it didn't go too well for old Patel there. He was stood in front of, I think we just all say what it is, a massive phallus for a very long time. Now, Tiger Patel only became a councillor last May, but you can't say he lacks ambition. Look at this. Hey, that says this. He's tweeted this himself. We haven't done that before people start calling the lawyers. Last Friday, he tweeted a photo of his face superimposed on a picture of Boris Johnson outside 10 Downing Street. And the caption on the tweet simply read, future plans.
You know, they cut the video too short, you know, the one with the bollard? Well, you know, he then leapfrogs over it.
Yeah. I think it would be good. It was so anyway. So obviously it's.
I like him. I think he's a great guy. I mean, now that's an MP who deserves a pay rise.
Yeah, we want.
You know what I mean?
We want.
He's actually doing something in his community properly.
He's obviously a bit kooky, but we like all sorts.
Brilliant.
I mean, I'm a bit nuts, but you know, we want people like this, don't we? Getting hands. Yeah. He's fixed a play area. He's cleaning out alleyways.
And I'll tell you what, if I could just get serious for a moment and take you back to 2017, I did end up almost in court with a car brand because my car plunged into a pothole just near Cobham Services M25. Can't remember which way I was going. Not really. No, the whole story doesn't matter that much actually. But no, we just about settled out of court, and it was to get serious for a moment. It was a nightmare, honestly.
Awesome. And that's what bought your property portfolio.
Well, I don't know about that. I don't have to talk about
that. Okay. Right, it's time for this. Now, earlier on in the show, I asked you to send in your pictures, sat at home in your jumpers, trying to keep warm in the face of this cost of living crisis. And they've been pouring in. Thank you very much, everyone. It's really great to see you all actually watching the show. Joyce is sat here under a blanket. There we go. Tequila in hand, too, to keep warm. You'd love to see it. Joyce, I tell you what.
Good work.
Give me the address. We round off the show. Right, Paul and Lorraine are together, I believe. Oh, there we go. Good stuff. And here's Eric and his wife huddled up.
Nice.
Oh, bless you both. There you go. Leslie under a pink blanket. I believe we can show now. You're looking very cosy there, Leslie, I must say. All of this, of course, is because people are now not turning the heating on. They're having to pay excessive energy bills, excessive gas bills, etc., etc., etc. And you better get used to wearing jumpers in your front room, apparently. Here's Emma, sat with her hot water bottle. Oh, there we go. Jane and her dog have the fire going to keep warm. Nice. That's a lovely one, isn't it? Well, there we go. So, look, keep getting in touch now, because we've got loads more coming on between now and 9 o'clock, actually. We'll tell you about the topless man in Scotland who urinated on a young boy. That's right. There's Dog of the Week, where we rehome a rescue dog, and we'll be on National Treasure as well. That's all to come in just a few minutes, so don't go anywhere. Europe is in the grip of the most devastating humanitarian crisis since World War II.
The people of Ukraine are facing unimaginable suffering
as their homes are destroyed and their loved ones are killed.
Millions of people are being forced to flee for their lives, carrying only their children, their pets, and the clothes on their back.
The pain, loss, and destruction grows by the day.
The people of Ukraine urgently need our help.
Already a vast humanitarian operation is underway. Britain's Disasters Emergency Committee, or DEC, brings together 15 leading aid charities to respond to overseas disasters quickly and efficiently. These charities include the British Red Cross, CARE, Oxfam, Save the Children, and World Vision.
Their teams are working on the ground in Ukraine and neighbouring countries to bring vital aid to those who need it most. If you can spare it, your gift to the DEC's humanitarian appeal will go a really long way.
£10 provides essential hygiene supplies for a person for a month.
£50 provides blankets for 4 families.
£100 provides emergency food for 2 families per month.
It's easy to give. You can donate online at dec.org.uk or call the 24-hour donation line on 0370 60 60 900. If you prefer to send a cheque, please post it to the Ukraine Humanitarian Appeal, PO Box 999, London, EC3A 3AA. To give £10 on your mobile, simply text the word crisis to 70150. Standard network charges apply for calls and you must be 16 or over. Texts are charged at the standard network rate and your £10 donation will be added to your bill.
100% of your donation goes directly to the DEC to save lives and deliver critical support where it's needed.
Welcome back. This is Friday Night Feast with me, Patrick Christys. In a few minutes, I'll speak to a medical expert about these shocking claims that Vladimir Putin is suffering from a roid rage type of condition as a result of cancer treatment. It's really kind of fascinating details on this. You're not going to want to miss that. I'll also meet the man who's walking from John O'Groats to Land's End in his bare feet. And we'll try to rehome a rescue dog in our Dog of the Week feature. Hopefully this one doesn't bite. There's lots on the way then, but first, of course, here are all your latest headlines.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Miranda Shunkett in the GB newsroom. The cost of living crisis has worsened for many households in Britain today, with the energy price cap rise taking effect. On average, gas and electricity bills will cost an extra £700 a year. And this comes ahead of the increase to national insurance later this month. Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer says the government needs to do more.
The government response has been utterly pathetic. No real response to that, no comfort to people who are so worried. What we, the Labour Party, have said is, look, the oil and gas companies in the North Sea have made excess profits over and above what they expected because of the high level of pricing across the world. That windfall tax should be used to take up to £600 off people's bills. And that is a practical solution to a very, very real problem.
Criminal and civil investigations have been launched into P&O ferries over the recent redundancies. The government's announced the probe is being carried out by the UK's Insolvency Service. P&O Ferries boss Peter Hebblethwaite admitted breaking the law when the company sacked 800 seafarers last month, replacing them with agency workers on cheaper salaries. A Red Cross convoy travelling to the besieged city of Mariupol in the south of Ukraine has been forced to turn around. The teams were en route to evacuate thousands of civilians who've been trapped by Russian forces with little food, water, medicines or power. Moscow had agreed to open a humanitarian corridor today, but Ukrainian officials say they're breaking their promise and that it's very dangerous for anyone trying to enter or leave. 19 environmental protesters have been arrested after blockading several oil terminals across England. The group called Just Stop Oil says they want the government to stop funding new oil licences. Several facilities were forced to suspend operations because of the obstructions. Free COVID testing in England has come to an end today as a record number of people in the UK have COVID. The Office for National Statistics say an estimated 4.9 million people had the virus at the end of last week, up from 4.3 million the week before. And a great British face-off potentially, as England could play against Wales or Scotland in the FIFA World Cup finals later this year. The Three Lions will face one of the home nations or Ukraine in the group stages in Qatar, with that playoff path to be settled in June following Russia's invasion of Ukraine. England's first matches will be against Iran and the USA in November. Well, on TV, online and DAB Plus Radio, this is GB News. Now it's back to Patrick and the Friday Night Feast.
Let's get cracking then, people. Here's a question for you. Is Vladimir Putin suffering from roid rage? A report today claims the Russian tyrant had surgery on his thyroid last autumn and that he keeps a thyroid specialist by his side at all times. The doctor is said to have travelled with Putin from Moscow to Sochi in the south of Russia 35 times. Now, it's not the first time that Putin has been reported to be ill, is it? Last month, it was claimed that spies believed he was suffering from a brain disorder caused by dementia, Parkinson's disease, or indeed roid rage resulting from his steroid treatment. Of course, it's important to take all of this with a pinch of salt, isn't it? Because there's a lot of propaganda, especially in times of war. But This thyroid doctor bit does look pretty kosher. Anyway, Professor Angus Dalgleish, who's an oncologist at St George's Hospital in London, joins me now. Thank you very much. Look, I'm not going to ask you to speculate too much, really, I suppose, on the personal health of Vladimir Putin. We're more dealing in what-ifs here, really. And what can the effect of treatments for thyroid cancer actually be on someone?
Well, first of all, I think it is possible that he has thyroid cancer because it's very common in East Europe and Russia due to Chernobyl. For some reason, the thyroid was particularly susceptible to the radiation and can cause cancer. However, I don't think that per se would be the cause of his problems. Looking at him very carefully, we note that this man he's well known to be very proud of his physique. He likes doing judo and riding horses bareback, etc. And he has, for this, we know, taken these anabolic steroids. And these are known, basically, to destabilise rage if taken for a long time. And I believe he probably has taken these for a long time. As also, due to his judo, etc., it is claimed he's had a very bad back, and you can tell this from the way he walks. If he has had a very bad back for a long time, he's likely to probably take opiates, which as a painkiller, which also have some effect on him. Now, with regards to the thyroid, the treatment for it basically just leads to underactivity. So he's on thyroxine, which per se I do not think would be a problem. But looking at him as a doctor, I see a flatness to his face, and it does raise what others have mentioned before, possible Parkinson's disease. And he really does show an absolute absence of emotion in his face. But looking at him a year, 2-3 years ago and now, there's an asymmetry to his face, which raises the question, in my mind, and the way he has acted and his change of behaviour and his disconnect cognitive problems is whether he has a brain tumour. And this is where the reports that he's now followed by not just a thyroid cancer specialist, but he's been followed by a neurosurgeon. And this would actually fit if they are concerned that they may have something more. So the thyroid cancer may well be a red herring. He might have had treatment, but I don't think it's got anything to do with his possible behaviour and aggression.
OK, there's a lot to get stuck into there. Thank you very much. I wish you were my GP, actually. You'd just get it all sorted in no time. In fact, you're probably diagnosing me with something right now. But just focus for me a second on the brain tumour element of it. I suppose it depends, doesn't it, really, how big it is, where it is. I mean, are we completely speculating here? What makes you really wonder that he's got a brain tumour?
Well, it is basically that he has an absence of effect and his personality has changed. I mean, everybody who comments on him say he has changed quite a lot and his personality has changed. Even those who know him well find his personality has changed. If you have a brain tumour in your frontal lobes, you don't get strokes or weakness or anything. You get a change in behaviour. And this is noted by the close associates of a patient long before doctors notice it. I've seen it myself and people I know well. It's very subtle. And if you raise this as a possibility, he does fit the bill. You can't say, oh, he's got this, that and the other. You exclude it. You cannot exclude that something might be going on. Now, often these things are quite low grade, and the neurosurgeon might just be leaving it in place and observing it carefully, and then instigate treatment when they feel that the time is right. But as I point out, this is speculation, but I think it's more likely than thyroid cancer or the treatment for thyroid cancer. And I'd go back to, if you've been on anabolic steroids and you're on an opiate for long-term severe back pain, that is enough for his psychopathic, aggressive behaviour. But I do think there's something else going on, whether it be a Parkinson's or some brain involvement, to explain the way he has handled this, because he's very paranoid. And it's claimed that his closest observers have been lying to him because they don't want to upset him, because they know he goes completely over the top. And we've seen this before in leaders who get pushed into a corner to defend their actions. And it could just be pure isolation. Perhaps he has had COVID, long-term COVID.
Yeah.
But what I'm putting across, there are many explanations that could explain this behaviour. We don't actually know, but I think we'll find out over the next few weeks or months.
And I think you touched on it earlier on. This kind of almost swelling of the neck, I suppose, really. I mean, mine is down to how much time I spend at the pub. But I don't get the impression Vladimir Putin's off at High Spa in Paddington every single afternoon. I mean, what could that be down to?
Well, I mean, most people have said steroids. I mean, I'm convinced he's been on anabolic steroids for a long time, because people who are so proud to show off their physique, and he's always showing himself topless and horses or various other things, they tend to boost their muscles with these anabolic steroids. And he may have had steroids on top for an autoimmune condition which we don't fully understand. Perhaps there's an autoimmune component to the thyroid, which there can be, and he could have steroids for that. So this is all speculation, but there's more than enough reasons to suspect that his behaviour might be medically or treatment aggravated. I'll put it that way, aggravated.
All right, Professor, that was fantastic. Thank you very, very much. Professor Angus Dalgleish, he's an oncologist at St George's Hospital in London, and let me tell you what, if I walked in for a checkup and he walked in after me, I think I'd feel pretty secure, but thank you very much. Now, this evening, the draw... Actually, no, let's talk about it ourselves. OK? Right, so, hey, do you think Putin's nuts? Are you worried about this angry man?
Oh, yeah, I've been worried about him for quite some time. But in terms of the face, and I look at these things quite closely, it looks more like filler and Botox to me.
That's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking.
You know,
that's what I was thinking.
Just my opinion, but, that's my assessment.
Yeah, I mean, he was the head of the KGB, or FSB as it's now known. So, I mean, he is sociopathic. We know that. And if he's psychopathic as well, then that would explain his mood swings. I mean, this is probably more Dr. Pam Spur again in terms of a psychological. I think that the professor did a great job on a speculative medical diagnosis.
Absolutely.
But I think psychologically, he has always been brutal. And I mean, his oligarchs around the world are fearful of him. And he will exact his revenge when he wants to on whoever. We're seeing this even today with demanding, obviously, payment for oil through rubles, and it's being already deemed as being extortion. So I think I'm with you. I think it's Botox. I think it's fillers. I don't think it's necessarily something severely medical, because he's obviously still got a grip of the situation.
Well, apparently so. I suppose it's just a bit weird that you'd be constantly followed around by a neurosurgeon and someone for thyroid cancer. Although, having said that, at his age, people do have strokes, and maybe he wants someone on the scene immediately if he does have one. And it's not the...
I mean, I've worked with a lot of very, very high-profile people who will have a medical team literally with them at all times. They get on the private jet with them, they travel around the world, they're always there.
So would this be pop stars, politicians, that kind of...
All sorts, all sorts. But people who've basically got very deep pockets and can afford not only them, but me, obviously.
Well, absolutely. Yes.
He doesn't come cheap.
They couldn't pay.
Certainly not.
They couldn't pay renting your property portfolio.
Stop talking about it.
Yeah, stop bringing it up. You hate it. Right, moving on. Now, this evening, the draw for the 2022 World Cup group stages was made, and what a draw it was for the home nation. So, if Scotland beat Ukraine, which I think they should throw the match anyway out of respect for the Ukrainians, of course, in their playoff later this year, then they'll play Wales. And the winner of that match will join England alongside Iran and the USA in Group B. So we've got the kind of Nazanin Zaghari-Ratcliffe derby, apparly, first game there. So that'll be a bit...
If you give me, I'll tell you what, if you give me a round, I'd have chopped your hand off.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there we go. But I mean, you quite like your sport, don't you?
Love it, yeah. And well, I made a career out of it, but I like to think so. Anyway, look, this is a huge opportunity for England. This is the best generation of players they've had for many a decade. They're achieving as well. They've gone to a semi-final of the World Cup. They've been to the final of the Euros. Not been to a final since 1966. The group, I mean, look, USA are pretty good. They've got 4 or 5 players who play for Champions League clubs now. Christian Pulisic at Chelsea, of course. I would also say that Iran looked dangerous because they were so dominant in their group. I'm not convinced Ukraine will actually get a chance to contest this World Cup. 18 of their 24-man squad is in Ukraine. They've even put on... some of them have started to fight.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't think it will. So it'll be either Wales or Scotland. There's talent in both sides. Scotland got a draw with England last summer.
Yeah, they did.
There's a derby aspect to it as well. But assuming England will get out of the group and 2 of the 4 qualify, they've got an enormous opportunity now. And as we saw with big teams, when they're creating a kind of dynasty of success, it builds up and builds up and builds up. The next step for England now undoubtedly is to win the thing.
That's exactly it. We actually do have some exclusive footage for you now of the World Cup draw. Let's take a look.
So, Rod, would you please do the home ties? Now. And Alan, will you please draw the away ties? Okay.
Ready?
Take your time.
Number 4.
Dunfermline Athletic.
Love Rod Stewart.
Rod Stewart.
He's a legend, isn't he?
You've got to love it.
Legend.
You've got to
He
love
was fixing potholes the other week, wasn't he?
What was that?
He was fixing potholes the other week.
Yeah, he was, wasn't he?
He couldn't get his Ferrari over it.
That was it. He couldn't get his Ferrari over a pothole, so he went to fix it himself.
Good man.
But, just quickly, do you think England are going to win the thing? Do you think we're going to win the World Cup?
I always hope we do.
Huge
but then
chance
we're
we'll
sadly disappointed. But I mean, I lean to Aidan. He knows more about this stuff than me. If you think I think we were having a chat earlier about the discipline of players these days, say compared to 10 years ago or 20 years prior to that. And I think they're fitter, the nutrition's better, the training's better, the rehab's better. We've got every good chance. If they're good players, they've got the skill.
Squad's getting stronger with every tournament. They've got to win it at some point.
We've got to. Right now, after the break, we're going to take a look round your parts. Yeah, you heard. Tonight, it is as rude as it sounds. As police in Devon hunt the person who spray-painted a penis on a road. I'll see you in 2 minutes. Europe is in the grip of the most devastating humanitarian crisis since World War II.
The people of Ukraine are facing unimaginable suffering
as their homes are destroyed and their loved ones are killed.
Millions of people are being forced to flee for their lives, carrying only their children, their pets, and the clothes on their back.
The pain, loss and destruction grows by the day.
The people of Ukraine urgently need our help.
Already a vast humanitarian operation is underway. Britain's Disasters Emergency Committee, or DEC, brings together 15 leading aid charities to respond to overseas disasters quickly and efficiently. These charities include the British Red Cross, CARE, Oxfam, Save the Children and World Vision.
Their teams are working on the ground in Ukraine and neighbouring countries to bring vital aid to those who need it most. If you can spare it, your gift to the DEC's humanitarian appeal will go a really long way.
£10 provides essential hygiene supplies for a person for a month.
£50 provides blankets for 4 families.
£100 provides emergency food for 2 families per month.
It's easy to give. You can donate online at dec.org.uk or call the 24-hour donation line on 0370 60 60 900. If you prefer to send a cheque, please post it to the Ukraine Humanitarian Appeal, PO Box 999, London, EC 3A 3AA. To give £10 on your mobile, simply text the word crisis to 70150. Standard network charges apply for calls and you must be 16 or over. Texts are charged at the standard network rate and your £10 donation will be added to your bill.
100% of your donation goes directly to the DEC to save lives and deliver critical support where it's needed.
Welcome back. Now, all week our team of producers have been delving round your parts to find some of these absolute gems of local news. So let's start with a remarkable story from Scotland, where a man has been convicted of urinating on a 9-year-old boy after staggering across a busy dual carriageway topless. So the Daily Record reports that Thomas Degnan from Glasgow harangued an innocent flock of sheep before opening a rear door of a stranger's car and urinating on the child. Degnan admitted breach of the peace on a charge of assaulting the boy by urinating on him, and a third charge of urinating in circumstances likely to cause annoyance to others. Oh, my good gosh. Aidan, this sounds like a quiet day out for you.
Yeah, I can take you back to when I was a kid, actually.
Right.
I had a propensity at the age of 3 or 4 to dance around in puddles naked with red wellies on. And the neighbours actually complained about it to my mum and said, look, he's out, your little boy's out front. That's actually, I never told that to anyone, really, but it's true.
Oh, so you've always had a propensity to stick kids up.
I love it. I'd like to know whether he was an ex-para or a bootneck.
Yeah.
That's like standard operating procedures.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, you know, how many is it this week who've relieved themselves?
None, without getting a Will Smith special.
No, absolutely, yeah.
Exactly.
That was fantastic, that, though.
It was.
I know we're digressing here, but that Oscars moment was absolutely...
I know.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. Someone sent it to me in the morning. I couldn't believe I was seeing it. I was barely awake. I soon woke up after that.
There's a man with a lot of issues.
Yes.
Put it that way, shall we?
Well, and one of them was sat next to him, anyway. Next up, it's a story from Tiverton in Devon, where someone has spray-painted a phallus in the town centre. Shall we have a look at it? Wow. I mean, Banksy's not yet claimed responsibility, but the mayor of Tiverton, Sue Griggs, classic mayor name, that, isn't it? Sue Griggs, has helpfully posed for a photo next to the piece of graffiti, which she says is very disappointing. It's not the only piece of antisocial behaviour in Tiverton recently. The town clerk, John van der Wolf, was targeted by young people throwing eggs.
Disgusting.
I mean...
Disgusting. This country's gone to
It's gone to the dogs, hasn't it? This
It
country's
has.
gone to the dogs. Yeah, you
No,
can't...
I've never done that myself.
No.
I mean, I'm not really into art much, but I have to say I can appreciate some art.
Yeah. Is that life? Was it life size, by the way?
Well, I don't know. Well,
well, I'm probably not the best person to ask, but you know, my reputation precedes.
there he is. There he is. OK, fantastic. Well, now we're going to go to the next story, which is from the Cotswolds. And it's the town of Corsham. I've never been to Corsham, I don't think, where two tiny chihuahuas are terrorising locals and even a German Shepherd dog.
Awesome.
Gosh, look at this. There you go. That's a fantastic headline, isn't it? Councillor Ruth Hopkinson says a resident has reported having a very unpleasant encounter with a couple of the dogs in the high street. The owner of the German Shepherd says he is an ex-police dog. Maybe the fact that he was scared by a couple of chihuahuas shows why he's no longer a police dog.
Yeah, maybe.
I would imagine.
That sounds like the Met.
Yeah, it does actually, yeah.
You know what? I love a couple of little land sharks. Nothing wrong with them.
Yeah, they are.
Sure.
They are little terrors actually sometimes. The small, tiny dogs.
Oh, Jack Russell. Jack Russell, yeah, it was just, you know, when they're a puppy and you sometimes put your hands in their mouth and let them have a bite.
Yeah.
Bad idea.
Yeah, after about 3 months, it was a bad idea. Yeah.
I had a Westie who was like a minor polar bear, you know, literally. He'd tear your leg off. You know.
Really?
I did train him to do that.
I'm not really a dog person, actually. What about you two?
Yeah, I'm a dog person.
Oh, yeah. I'm a cat person and dog person. I've had cats and dogs.
Well, I only had one cat once of my own, and we've gone to an animal rescue centre, cat rescue centre.
Yeah.
And they had 6 cats, and 5 of them were completely normal cats, OK?
Yeah.
And then I got absolutely done. So
You got a nutter.
So I was walking right down to the M1. We'd already...
Cost about a tenner, don't they?
Yeah. And,
reasonable.
Anyway, so I get to the end, and they go, right, now this is Norma. OK, now Norma, she's not going to get on with Norma because she doesn't really see people. So I was like, oh, I'll go and have a look at her. I go in, she comes straight over, she's all over me, and then the woman goes, she's chosen you.
Oh, sweet.
She's chosen you.
Nice.
That cat, honestly, I never saw it. I got back to the flat, and it was just in the closet the whole time.
It's difficult in a cat.
You don't own a cat. A cat owns you.
Well, exactly.
In a flat, though, it's difficult, isn't it, surely?
Well, we had an outside space. It never
Right.
went out the house. For 3 weeks, honestly, couldn't be absolutely certain what colour this thing was. It was just in the wardrobe the whole time.
Yeah, but
nervous.
but you see, that's the kind of thing. Although I like dogs, the thing I like about cats is when they want attention, they'll come and get it. Whereas dogs just want attention all the
Yeah,
time.
they do, I suppose.
Needy.
Needy, absolutely.
Needy.
Yeah, it's a bit like one of my exes, actually. Anyway, our final story this week comes from York, where an audience member walked out of a Shakespeare play because the actors had Yorkshire accents. That's right. It was a production of As You Like It at York Theatre Royal. Their chief executive, Tom Bird, says that someone left after an hour and then demanded a full refund. So, hey up, alright. Yorkshire accents, like mine, offend though.
Can I have a go?
Yeah, go on.
The Yorkshire accents, like mine, offend you.
Yeah,
Thee, thou, it's thee, thou, and what's the other one? Thee, thou, thy.
Yeah, 100%. And I've got a colleague in the office here who's from Yorkshire, and twice today, out of nowhere, she's come up to me and told me the same joke. She went, do you know what the best thing about Manchester is? I was like, no, what? She went, the road back out on the way to Yorkshire. I was like, you said that to me an hour ago, and it wasn't that funny then.
Yeah.
You ever been to Yorkshire?
I have been to Yorkshire. I like it. It's very nice. I wouldn't insult their local people by trying to mimic their accents, but I think asking for your money back is a little rich.
Well, it's just a bit ridiculous, isn't it, really? I think it's very, very strange.
I'm in Sheffield on Tuesday night watching QPL.
Are you? That's all right for
They're
some.
in Sheffield watching who? Cuba?
QPR.
Oh, QPR.
Yeah,
So Cuba.
See, I'd rather be in Cuba watching Sheffield, but there we go. So all those stories were completely true. But as it's April Fool's Day, there have been plenty of made-up stories in the newspapers and on social media today. Wimpy led the way by tweeting their new logo with the message, "No more Wimpy.
Oh, that's good.
We're far more macho," which is quite brave in this current
Wimpy
climate.
still going?
Yeah,
there's one at Orpington High Street, actually. They've got an offer on at the moment with...
See, I'm old enough to remember sit-down Wimpy.
Yeah, well, they have like China plates. That was a big thing, rather
Yeah, they
than
had
throwaway cards.
tables and everything. Yeah,
Chips are all right,
dates. Yeah.
Wow. OK, well, there you go. Ocado introduced a new roast Sunday, apparently. A time-saving, hunger-busting, lip-smacking, belly-filling and game-changing roast dinner in a jar. I'd eat that. I'd eat that right now.
Yeah,
God,
it's better than you getting Toby. Other restaurants are available, of course.
Yeah, no, of course, yeah. I quite like a Toby Carvery, to be honest with you, because I
Yeah, I
just
don't mind it.
stack
I
it
love
high.
a carvery.
Yeah,
I love a carvery.
No, yeah,
Don't go. You got to get in there before sort of 12 o'clock. It goes a bit sort of.
Yeah.
The veg goes a bit stale.
Yeah, and normally, you know, the locals get at it. But, Lidl said they're expanding into the fragrance market and have launched a new scent, Eau de Dough. So the perfume is described as having notes of vanilla and undertones of flaky pastry. A sweet scent that's almost good enough to eat, they say. I think, actually, they should do that because they've launched socks, they've launched shoes. Lidl's all right.
I think toast would be a good one, wouldn't it?
Toast?
As a fragrance.
Oh, got you, right.
As a fragrance.
There's one I'm wearing tonight called breadcrumbs.
Where is it?
Birds love it.
This guy, he's got it.
He's got all the lines.
He's got it all. You are single, though, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, there you go. Well, watch out.
Maybe not.
There you go, ladies.
Watch out, ladies. Watch
Form
out.
an orderly queue.
Yes,
Form an
You do
orderly
it for the
queue.
gags, wouldn't you?
Yeah, well, anyway, the fashion brand claim to have launched a game-changing product plugged for your friend that is always late. I could do one of these. Introducing the high heelies. So it's a pair of stylish black boots, a little wheel on the heel to make walking that extra bit quicker. So there we are. I mean, personally, I would only wear them on a Saturday night, but I could maybe try and get some of those. But former Conservative Minister Rory Stewart, who was a fierce critic of Boris Johnson, raised a few eyebrows when he announced that he'd been asked by the Prime Minister to become the new Director of Communications for Number 10. I quite like that. That's quite a nice one. And we're staying with the politics theme now because it's the former leader of the Liberal Democrats, Tim Farron. He claimed he was going to present a new programme right here on GBNews called GBH with Tim Farron, where politicians will settle their differences by actually having a fight.
Awesome.
I can't tell you how disappointed I am that Tim Farron will not be becoming a GB News presenter, actually. That would be box office. I can't actually do think that Tim Farron's clocked onto something here. I personally would love to see politicians fight.
I'd love to see that, yeah. Just bare knuckle it.
Yeah.
Leader of the Dems, wasn't he?
He was, yeah.
Yeah, go up against John Prescott, opposite number.
That'd be all right.
That's it. I'd love to see Boris in the ring.
Yeah.
Rishi, I think he could be, quite nimble, actually.
Well, he'd be a featherweight.
I mean, would you do weight classes? You'd have to,
you'd
really,
have to,
wouldn't
yeah,
you?
you can't have someone of 18 stone decking.
I don't know.
Well, it could be like Martin Ford in the Hulk, couldn't he? The Iranian Hulk. That's
true.
coming up soon. That would just
Very
be a nice old scuffle.
Absolutely right. OK. Well, yes, we're just going to keep pressing ahead, I believe, now. So you two are a couple of fools, I think. Reckon you'd fall for these chaps? No, I'm sure you absolutely wouldn't. And I've just realised I've scrolled massively far up on the Let's carry on. This never happened. More photos coming in of people wrapping up warm to try and combat the cost of living crisis chaos. Here we go. It's Paul using his dog as a hat. I believe this is postperson Pat, of course. Thank you very much, everyone who's been getting in touch. YouView at gbnews.uk. So Paul is using his dog as a hat to keep his head cosy. And Deborah says that she's at home freezing. Bless you, Deborah. Gosh, that does look chilly, doesn't it? Terence, fantastic name, sent this pic of his wife, all wrapped up, hood and all, apparently. There we go. And an unhappy Arnold taking comfort under a blanket.
Oh, bless him.
There he is. And we've got Sweep. Look at him. There we go.
What a hat.
He's got his flat cap on to tackle the cold.
Peaky Blinders. Yeah.
Oh, indeed. Now, this is from Elaine. Says, what are you doing later? Blinking gorgeous, just saying. Well, that could be to anyone.
Yeah.
I mean, that could be...
I think that's Aidan.
No.
I think that's one for the.
So.
Oh, it says.
The one in the green jacket.
That's nice.
Aidan, anything to say about that, or just no comment?
There's an email address available.
It's ticker taping along the bottom of the screen. Yeah.
Good stuff. Right, now the bad news is there's only one part left in Friday Night Feast, but the good news is there's lots to come after the break. We've got Patrick's Fake News, National Treasure, and Dog of the Week. I'll see you in 2 minutes. Europe is in the grip of the most devastating humanitarian crisis since World War II.
The people of Ukraine are facing unimaginable suffering.
As their homes are destroyed and their loved ones are killed.
Millions of people are being forced to flee for their lives, carrying only their children, their pets, and the clothes on their back.
The pain, loss and destruction grows by the day.
The people of Ukraine urgently need our help.
Already a vast humanitarian operation is underway. Britain's Disasters Emergency Committee, or DEC, brings together 15 leading aid charities to respond to overseas disasters quickly and efficiently. These charities include the British Red Cross, CARE, Oxfam, Save the Children, and World Vision.
Their teams are working on the ground in Ukraine and neighbouring countries to bring vital aid to those who need it most. If you can spare it, your gift to the DEC's humanitarian appeal will go a really long way.
£10 provides essential hygiene supplies for a person for a month.
£50 provides blankets for 4 families.
£100 provides emergency food for 2 families per month.
It's easy to give. You can donate online at dec.org.uk or call the 24-hour donation line on 0370 60 60 900. If you prefer to send a cheque, please post it to the Ukraine Humanitarian Appeal, PO Box 999, London, EC 3A 3AA. To give £10 on your mobile, simply text the word crisis to 70150. Standard network charges apply for calls and you must be 16 or over. Texts are charged at the standard network rate and your £10 donation will be added to your bill.
100% of your donation goes directly to the DEC to save lives and deliver critical support where it's needed.
On Mark Dolan tonight, in The Big Question, do 5-year-olds need the vaccine? My Mark Meets guest is one of America's most talked about broadcasters. Yaron Brooks stands up for freedom, low taxes and a small state. He's live in the studio at 10. Plus another great British game show and my alternative news headlines, tonight featuring Jeremy Clarkson. My all-star panel features former Olympic gymnast Lisa Mason, and in my big opinion, the cost of living crisis is the fault of lockdown cheerleaders. See you at 9.
Right, OK, welcome back to Friday Night Feast. Now, just another cheeky plug. Loads of you have been getting in touch. Thank you so much. And sending in pictures of you all wrapped up in your front rooms because you've not been putting the heating on. Maybe you can't afford to. Maybe you're just trying to be a bit savvy because you know what's around the corner. But we love to see it, OK? We like to see you sitting there, sending us your pictures, of course, because it hammers it home, doesn't it? Hammers home the true extent of really what we're going through. Absolutely massive, massive, massive hikes. 54% in some cases in household bills. It's astonishing. And frankly, it's completely and utterly unsustainable. But let us know where you are, let us know what you're looking like, and also we were loving the pictures in as well of your household pets keeping warm. GBViews at gbnews.uk. But we've got loads to get through before 9 o'clock, so let's get straight on it, shall we? And bring you Patrick's Fake News, where I make up a story and ask the great British public what they think of it. In case you hadn't noticed, it's April the 1st today, and that was the theme of today's question. So obviously today is April Fool's Day, but there is a petition that's done 1.5 million signatures to change it from April Fool's Day to Prank Holiday. How do you feel about that one?
Bit random.
Yeah. They said it's offensive to people. The word fool is offensive to people.
Okay.
Do you think it's fine, a bit weird?
Really fussed, bit strange, bit odd.
Yeah.
What's the point? I like April Fool like the way it is already, so yeah.
As in the list of the things to do, but it's not a priority.
I don't think it's offensive.
No.
No.
Okay.
You bothered?
Not really.
It just seems a bit overreactionary, I guess. I mean, something over nothing again. Does anyone really care? I don't think so.
Are you just sick of this stuff? You know what I mean?
Yeah, just seems to be another thing just to get upset about for no reason.
I think this is the prank.
Well, there we go. Now, Aidan, you've always struck me as a very gullible person. Do you think you'd have fallen for that?
Well, I am, believe it or not.
Oh, yeah. I thought it was on Newsnight.
No, I tell you what I like. Yeah, I would have fallen for that because and I tell you what I really love. I'm a man of puns, as you know.
Yeah.
Prank Holiday.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
That's better than the Macho Wimpy one, isn't it?
Absolutely. I thought Prank Holiday was actually an improvement on April Fool's Day.
I like it.
Yeah.
Prank Holiday gets my vote, definitely.
Yeah.
Has anyone ever really got you? So earlier on, I was doing my show 10 a.m. till 12, cheeky plug, and I announced at about 11 a.m. that I was leaving GB News and that this was my last ever show and that I was going to become editor of The Guardian.
I saw it.
Yes. And the flood of emails...
The ratings went up, didn't they?
Yeah, the ratings went up. But good riddance. Good riddance was sick of this guy. I was getting tweets, Patrick, please don't leave, which was lovely. Thank you very, very much. But then it got a bit out of hand because people did start tweeting it and being like, just heard Patrick is leaving for the Guardian, which is weird because, I mean, they wouldn't have me and I wouldn't want to go. But, you know, yeah, so we had to come out sharpish and say, no, I'm not actually leaving.
Damage control.
Yeah, damage
control. I did somewhere for the Guardian many years ago.
How was it?
Good. Good, nice bunch of people, seriously.
When you went to the football match, did they only ever let you watch the left wing?
Very good. He'll be here all week.
That's right.
I might borrow that one.
Yeah, do it. I believe now that we can meet this week's national treasure, OK? So this is one of my favourite parts of the show. Now, Nathan Dunn is walking from John O'Groats to Land's End in his bare feet. He's aiming to set a new world record by doing the journey in just 52 days. Now, Nathan contemplated committing suicide last year, so there's a very moving element to this story. And I know that obviously yesterday, or 2 days before, actually, I think it was World Bipolar Day, for example, male mental health is absolutely in a shocking position. Suicide is the leading killer of men under 45. But he is now walking 1,350 miles and is hoping to raise £50,000, that's 50, for the mental health charity Mind. And I'm delighted to say that Nathan joins me now. Nathan, what we have to do whenever we get a national treasure on, lads, well done, mate. Good stuff. Good
Fantastic.
stuff.
Good man.
Well done. You're an absolute inspiration. Look, I don't really know where to start with this one, to be honest with you. I mean, do you want to start... Let's just start with what you're actually doing, and then maybe we can go backwards from there, as it were.
Yeah, so you'll have to forgive me, I'm losing my voice a little bit. But I am planning to walk on May the 4th, from John O'Groats to Land's End, and I aim to do about 26 miles a day, which is the distance of a full marathon. And yeah, it'll be completely barefooted, and I'm looking to hit certain routes along the UK. Halfway it should be around home, and yeah, it should hopefully take me between 50 and 60 days to do. So it's going to be a great journey, and I'm doing it in aid of Mind UK, which is a mental health charity. And yeah, it's a cause that's close to my heart. So
a little bit about that.
Means a lot.
Talk to me a little bit about that. You know, I don't want to pry too much. You know, only talk about what you're comfortable with talking about, of course. But you really struggled, didn't you? You really struggled.
Yeah, I had quite a tough upbringing, a tough life, and I kind of thought that when I get to be an adult, I'll be okay. I'll be able to take care of myself, and I'll be able to look after myself. And actually, it turned out to be that once I became an adult, the stuff from the past started to weigh me down, and I just felt really down, and like I just used to feel really alone. No matter whether it was, you know, I could walk into a room full of people and feel completely on my own. And when you're in that position, no one can really help you in a sense. Because you feel like it's no one will understand, and that's the way I thought. And it turns out people do know how you feel. People do understand, and all it takes for you to help yourself is to reach out and ask for help. So, yeah, it gradually got worse and worse for me. It was just like I had this backpack on, and each week there was just more weight being added to it, and it got to the point where even though I felt like I was really strong, I couldn't carry that weight anymore, and I just wanted everything to stop. I wanted a bit of peace. I wanted to stop feeling like I was weighing everyone else down around me, and it's almost delusional when I look back at it. It's like you feel like everyone around you would be better off if you weren't there because you're making their life worse. And I know that's the wrong way to think. That's how I did think. And it took me to get to that point where I was on a bridge and I had a coin in my pocket. That's all I had with me, and I flipped it. you know, and heads, I wouldn't be here. Tails, I would. And it landed on tails, and, you know, I got down and came home, and it's at that point that I knew that I needed help and I needed to fully commit to getting better. So I went and got help, and, you know, that has saved my life, because now I'm not better now. I don't think you could ever say that I'm cured, but I have ways of coping now. When I feel down, I know that I can cope with it in a certain way. And yeah, it's kind of a paradox. It's like the hardest thing in the world to do is to speak out, but it's also the easiest thing in the world to do. So
I think
that's
very, very eloquently put, mate. Very well eloquently put. And thank goodness that coin came down on the wrong side, because it's an absolute pleasure to be in your company this evening, and I'm sure all of our viewers and all of our listeners agree as well. Tell us a bit about what you're doing then. I know you're walking barefoot. I mean, are you going to be off-roading for a lot of it, or are you going to be traipsing down motorways and all sorts?
Yeah, so the plans with it being barefooted, there's a lot more to take into consideration than I thought I would have to. A lot of man-made, like, roads, pavements are actually quite tough on the feet. So my aim is to try to get away from people, in a sense, as much as possible. You know, using the trails and the farmland and mountains and whatever it may be. I'm aiming to kind of cut a route through the UK. You know, so I want to get away from potential hazards like glass and litter and stuff like that, which I've actually noticed a lot more, because obviously I've been doing a lot more barefoot stuff. And yeah, so I'm going to be camping. So I'm carrying all my kit on my back. So it'll literally just be get up at first light, walk all day till it's going dark, and then just go to sleep wherever I am. And yeah, most of that will be done on my own. I have invited anyone and everyone to come along and join in whenever they want. They can be barefoot if they want. They can wear shoes, up to them. The only thing I ask is that if anyone comes along, that they do at least 1 mile, because it's called Walk a Mile in My Shoes. So yeah,
absolutely. No, it's a cracking idea. Now, if people want to donate, which I'm sure they do in their droves, having watched this now, how can they donate?
Yeah, so I'm on all social media platforms. My pages are called Walk a Mile in My Shoes 22. And I've got a Just Giving page set up, and you can find the links in the bios on the social medias, or you can go directly to Just Giving's website and search for Walk a Mile in My Shoes 22, and that's where you'll find my page.
Yeah, and you want 50 grand. You want well, you're not you want for you. That's the target you're setting. 50 grand. You know, I mean, I want 50 grand to be fair, mate. But yeah, no, well done. Look, and honestly, thank you so much. And for showing such bravery and courage, not just in this, but being able to talk about it. You mentioned that for you, for a period of your life, talking was the hardest thing. You certainly made it look very easy today. And I dare say as well, there will be thousands of people potentially watching this right now, struggling, feeling maybe a little bit like you did, and they will have heard you, and they will have possibly anyway decided to go and talk to someone, or certainly step back, as it were. So thank you very, very much, mate. And we'll give you one of these on the way out as well. Well done. Good stuff. You are a national treasure. An absolute top national treasure. We couldn't ask for any better than that, could we? I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, that was a fabulous, fabulous, fabulous Nathan Dunn, walking from John O'Groats to Land's End in his bare feet, and he wants to set a world record as well by doing it in 52 days. Look, you're an action man, some would say, an international man of mystery, you know.
He's got one of those switches at the back of his head where you go like that.
Oh, absolutely.
Eagle eyes and gripping hands.
Oh, okay.
Well, I've done a couple of ultra marathons. There's one going on right now, which is called the Marathon des Sables, which is one of the ones I did, which is in the Sahara, and it's a marathon a day, but it's 153 miles in 7 days. What this lad is doing, I can say from personal experience, is unbelievable. He's going to be doing a marathon a day and doing it in barefoot. What he is doing is quite astounding. And I think, you know, if people can donate, it's A, he's a fantastic ambassador for it. But B, my God, it's a heck of a challenge. I mean, I've got a mate, Ted, who's done it every year. He's doing it this year with his son, Raf, Ted Jackson. Super nice guy. He's and he is, you know, he's having a tough old time doing it, and he's done it every single year. compared to what this lad's doing, this lad is unbelievable. It really is.
I mean, you know, I certainly don't want to pry at all, really, into your personal life, as it were, but, you know, not enough men talk about their mental health. Seriously, not enough men talk about their mental health. And it is a massive, massive issue. You know, I'll hold my hands up and say I've struggled at times. You know, when the pandemic first kicked off, I think I've said this on TV before, I lost 3 jobs in a day, pretty much. And as someone who's very career motivated, my career, I get a lot of my self-worth out of what I do professionally. And I lost all of that. And that really, really, really hit me hard.
In situations like that, when the blow just keeps hammering down, it's happened to me before. I remember back in 2011, my mum, I lost my job at the News of the World because it closed. Mum died 5 years later. I also lost another family member later in the year. And it just seemed to be gathering.
The walls closed in.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You think, is this life forever? Is it ever going to stop? And the hardest thing is not feeling in control.
Yes,
you can't change any of those things.
He's feeling totally helpless. And I mean, and the fact that he actually got to the stage, I totally understand him standing on the bridge and flipping a coin and going, it literally is on the flip of a coin. And he won't be the only person. There'll be thousands of people across the country who will be doing this in the next week. But this kid can show the hope that what I found so amazing about his story was that when he flipped the coin, he stuck with the decision and he said, I've got to do everything in my power to get myself better. And this is what people have got to realise. There are too many people around them that love them, that want to support them, but maybe don't know how to support them.
Oh, indeed.
I'm worried about the soles of his feet, though. I'm diabetic, so I struggle with the heels of my feet. I told you I was for everything. Yeah, heels.
On the weekend.
There he is.
No. It's just, I mean, it must get hardened, the skin. I'll go for a pedicure every 3 months. To sort it out. They're all right, man. I'll get them out later.
Pedicures as well. You have to. Look after your feet. And you're going to be on them most of the day.
That can be Challenge Christys.
Pedicure, I think people would see through that one, wouldn't they, I think. But, OK, we're just going to move away from that now, and it's time for yet another favourite bit of the show. It's Dog of the Week, where we try to rehome a rescued dog. And tonight, we're asking if you could give a home to lovely Willow. So I believe we can have a look at Willow. Yes, wow. Willow is currently at Paw Prints to Freedom Rescue's kennels in Cheshire. That's near my neck of the woods, that. Good stuff, Willow. And if you're watching on GBNews TV or YouTube, you'll see that she's a lively girl who's very popular with the staff. Willow is a crossbreed and is about 3 or 4 years old. So to find a bit more out about Willow and hopefully get Willow a home, a forever home, I'm delighted to be joined now by Nina Hasbury, who's a director and trustee at Paw Prints Freedom Rescue. Thank you so much for joining us. Willow seems lovely.
She is. She's really lovely. She's only 3. She shouldn't be in there. She was in a home before, but she didn't like the other dog in the home, so she unfortunately came to us in the kennels. But as you can see, she loves the staff. She's a really lively girl. She loves her zoomies. She's brilliant with everything. She's a really clever girl as well. And oh my God, just look at her. She's beautiful.
So why cute. What's the crossbreed, sorry? Do you know or not?
No, she's definitely got a bit of terrier in her.
Yeah.
You can definitely see that. But yeah, apart from that, it is really hard to tell with the rescues.
No, of course it is. I mean, there could be absolutely anything, really. You can get your dog's genes tested now, I believe, and there's been some quite shocking results of that. So what kind of home would you recommend for Willow, then? What's her dream home?
So her dream home would be the only dog. She likes to keep all the attention for herself and all the food for herself as well. Probably older children, maybe over 12, just so that they're not quite so bouncy, a bit more sensible. And yeah, no cats, because she's not met cats as far as we're aware. So yeah, best not to put her with cats. But yeah, somewhere, she loves the countryside. She loves being around, walking around in the fields that surround the kennels. So somewhere where she can go on like quiet countryside walks would be really lovely for her as well.
Exactly. And she's all right on a walk, I take it?
Yeah, she's brilliant on a walk. She's really good on the lead. She doesn't really pull or anything like that. She's not too reactive to anything around her, i.e. cars or other people or anything. So yeah, okay. She's a good girl.
Well, talk to me a little bit about Paw Prints to Freedom Rescue, because someone, presumably without a heart, might be watching this now and thinking, oh, Willow's not the one for me, but they would like another one. And Paw Prints to Freedom Rescue does seem like a great place to be. So tell me a bit about your setup.
So, Paw Prints to Freedom, we are a Romanian dog rescue. essentially. We do help dogs in the UK as well. We have our kennels in Cheshire, which is our first rescue centre that we opened last year in July. So we have on any given time up to 40 dogs there that are mostly available for people to come and meet. All of their albums and their information are on our Facebook page or our website. Yeah, you can come and meet them, take them for walks, and if you've got the right home for them, then you can give them a home.
And just give us that email and that phone number as well, please, if you can remember it off the top of your head.
The email is www.pawprints2freedom.co.uk. We are also on Facebook, which is Paw Prints to Freedom, Our Safe Haven. And we also have Twitter and Instagram as well, Paw Prints to Freedom.
Fantastic. Nina, thank you very much. Thank you for dedicating part of your Friday evening to getting lovely Willow rehomed as well. Nina Hasby, who's director and trustee at Paw Prints to Freedom Rescue. It's one of my favourite bits of the show. I know I said about it all, but that's because I really love this show. But actually, rehoming a dog is an amazing feeling. Have you had rescue dogs?
Yeah, I have actually, and Willow looks like a fantastic fur missile. I have to say.
Yes,
she looks great, doesn't she? Yeah. And I've just lost a cat recently.
Oh gosh,
so
well, that won't be a problem
I'm in that
for Willow.
kind of mourning for a bit, but I'm going to take a note. I'm going to follow Paw Prints for Freedom.
Give it a go
on Instagram. Definitely, I think so.
Yeah, absolutely. Would you have Willow? You're too busy. You're a man about town.
No, I'm just not a dog person.
No,
I just believe I'm a 2 feet in or no feet at all in, if that makes sense.
Like Roy Keane.
Bit like kind of, But I would I wouldn't be able to dedicate enough time to a dog.
I understand.
And I worry that it'd mess up my nice furniture as well. So.
No, I once brought a dog unannounced into the GB News studio.
Really?
Oh, yeah?
Okay.
That's what David Brent did once, isn't it?
Yeah, Bob the Cockapoo, right? Now, Bob the Cockapoo normally lives a wonderful life in Muswell Hill. Yeah. And he's got a lovely setup. But basically, the doggy daycare, for which I was dog sitting, I was paying someone else to do it. The doggy daycare fell through at the last minute. Yeah. So I didn't have a choice but to bring Bob in because Bob gets very, very upset. So we thought we'll try and manufacture a situation where we can get Bob on air. Some people might remember this. Anyway, so I left Bob on the lead at the end of the office and I was running. So I got in my ear, Patrick, you've got a minute left on the break, OK? So I was like, oh, I'll go give Bob a stroke. And then as I'd got to Bob, they went, no, sorry, 10 seconds, 10 seconds. And I had to leg it all the way through the office. Bob's running after me. I couldn't slam the door in his face, so Bob's running around. I mean, goodness knows what he did to Eamon Holmes' stool. And he's running around. Brilliant. I decided to put him on air, and he won't have it anyway. He kept turning his back on the camera. Never work with animals. That's what.
Also, no, I remember doing an interview for CNN, and I normally talk about fairly serious subjects, and I was talking. I think it was with CNN, and my cat came and sat. I was doing it obviously down the pipe, and the cat came and sat. And Tabitha came and sat right next to me here, and the producer was going, get a cat out of frame. Literally just sitting there watching.
Fantastic,
You didn't subtract any credibility from what you were saying, though.
No.
It was probably only enhanced it, right?
Yeah, I imagine, because he's a lover and a fighter.
That's it.
That's what it is.
He's got
it all. He's got it all. Right, ladies and gentlemen, now it's time for this. Post-person Pat, that's right. So earlier on, we were out asking the public about MPs getting a pay rise as the cost of living crisis hit home for many people. And we've been getting so many emails about this coming in. So here's what several of you had to say. Annabelle, sorry, I thought it was a double-barrelled surname for a second there, Annabelle. Annabelle, double MPs pay, but stop all their expenses. Now, that would be absolutely fascinating, Annabelle, because you know what would happen? We'd save money. We'd save a heck of a lot of money. Yeah. John, yes, they should get a pay rise. However, they have the option to give it to charity at this difficult time. And Widdicombe said something very, very similar to this, John. She said that they should do that. They certainly shouldn't accept it. It's a bad luck. Michael says, this current bunch of MPs certainly do not deserve higher pay. If they were any good, they would have seen this energy crisis coming. And there's an element of this, because actually we have now hurtled towards various policies. OK, what is happening in Ukraine is a massive issue. The pandemic was a big issue, but it was more our response to the pandemic, I think. The lockdowns, the relentless lockdowns, the way we went about it. And this pursuit at the behest of Greta Thunberg, who by definition has hardly ever spent a day at school, that we have to have net zero and give in to them. I mean, do you actually feel as though, realistically, we've been let down by our MPs on this issue?
Have they let us down? That's a good question. I think they've been directionless. That's the problem. I think the fundamental is they haven't been able to lead in an efficient and trustworthy way that we've been able to. I mean, a few of them have, but a vast majority have.
Would you have any sympathy, though, for the fact that the pandemic specifically was just totally uncharted territory? No one knew anything about it, and you're making policy on the hop.
Yeah, I think they were making it up as they go along, and I think to a certain extent they lent on certain advisors too much than they perhaps should have, but they don't think they had a choice.
All right, chaps, right now, it's getting towards that time, isn't it? Good, yes. Has anyone got a taxi for Christys?
Taxi for Christys.
Right, that's my cue to leave the building and head off to my very, very cold house. But this was the week that Screwfix launched its big sale with 100% off tools. There you go. See, we got confirmation that summer is just around the corner, didn't we? As Nottinghamshire County Cricket Club posed with their team photo in a snowstorm. You love to see it. And Will Smith's reign of terror continues. There he is. He assaults another man for making an inappropriate remark. But remember, I want your suggestions for next week's challenge, Christys. Email me, patrick@gbnews.uk. Thank you to my fabulous panellists, Ada McGee and Will Geddes. And thank you to everyone who's been watching. I'll be back again at 10 a.m. on Monday with To The Point. And, of course, Friday Night Feast returns at 7 p.m. next Friday. The brilliant Mark Dolan is next. Have a great weekend, everybody. Lots of love.
Hello, I'm Alex Deakin with your latest weather update from the Met Office. It's all about the chill this weekend. Cold out there tonight. A frosty start to Saturday. A sunny day for many. There will be a few showers around, but the winds won't be as strong as they have been. The isobars just steadily spacing out as high pressure moves in. But it's not all about the high pressure. This weather front is drifting southwards, bringing wet weather to Northern Ireland this evening. And as that wet weather spreads across Wales, we will see some sleet and snow mixed in, and still some wintry showers, hail, sleet and snow across parts of eastern England. So it could turn icy here. We do have a Met Office yellow warning in place. And it is going to be cold. Temperatures widely down below freezing, even in towns and cities, and some rural spots could be down to -5 or -6. So a cold start to Saturday. It could be icy across these eastern areas in the morning as the showers keep coming and going. The showers for South Wales and South West England will still have some sleet and snow mixed in as well, turning back to rain and drifting away. A few more scattered showers developing through the afternoon over the Midlands, East Wales, maybe East Anglia and the South East. But certainly most of Scotland and Northern Ireland, dry, fine with sunny spells. And most of England and Wales won't see those afternoon showers either. But look at the temperatures, single figures at best. However, the winds will be lighter compared to the past couple of days, so it perhaps won't feel quite as cold. If you're heading out on Saturday night, though, be prepared for those temperatures to be falling sharply. A few showers around through the evening, but they tend to fade away. So for most, it's a dry night, and with long clear spells and with light winds, it is going to turn cold with an extensive frost for Sunday morning. So a chilly start again to Sunday. Apart from one or two very isolated showers, many places dry and bright on Sunday. It will cloud over in Northern Ireland with some rain in the afternoon here and eventually into northwest Scotland. But as I say, for many, Sunday is a dry and a bright day. It's still on the chilly side for the time of year with highs of 9 or 10, but it does turn milder by Monday.
Europe is in the grip of the most devastating humanitarian crisis since World War II.
The people of Ukraine are facing unimaginable suffering
as their homes are destroyed and their loved ones are killed.
Millions of people are being forced to flee for their lives, carrying only their children, their pets, and the clothes on their back.
The pain, loss and destruction grows by the day.
The people of Ukraine urgently need our help.
Already a vast humanitarian operation is underway. Britain's Disasters Emergency Committee, or DEC, brings together 15 leading aid charities to respond to overseas disasters quickly and efficiently. These charities include the British Red Cross, CARE, Oxfam, Save the Children and World Vision.
Their teams are working on the ground in Ukraine and neighbouring countries to bring vital aid to those who need it most. If you can spare it, your gift to the DEC's humanitarian appeal will go a really long way.
£10 provides essential hygiene supplies for a person for a month.
£50 provides blankets for 4 families.
£100 provides emergency food for 2 families per month.
It's easy to give. You can donate online at dec.org.uk or call the 24-hour donation line on 0370 60 60 900. If you prefer to send a cheque, please post it to the Ukraine Humanitarian Appeal, PO Box 999, London EC3A 3AA. To give £10 on your mobile, simply text the word crisis to 70150. Standard network charges apply for calls and you must be 16 or over. Texts are charged at the standard network rate and your £10 donation will be added to your bill.
100% of your donation goes directly to the DEC to save lives and deliver